Freedom, man. That's what it's all about. You've got to groove on freedom, like the good book says.
Welcome. You are listening to What on Earth is Happening. This show will discuss the topics of human consciousness, mind control, natural law, the occult, and all issues that affect the freedom of the people of Earth. What on Earth is Happening will endeavor to shine light upon the darkness of our world and to offer empowering solutions to the problems we face as humanity approaches its critical moment of choice. And now, here is your host, Mark Passio.
Welcome one and all, you're watching What on Earth is Happening. I'm your host, Mark Passio. My website, whatonearthishappening.com. Ladies and gentlemen, government is slavery. And here on What on Earth is Happening, we are ending slavery one mind at a time. Welcome everyone, thank you for joining us here today. This show is live every Sunday from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. East Coast U.S. time. Today is Sunday, July 26th, 2020. This is episode number 232 of What on Earth is Happening. We broadcast live at whatonearthishappening.com/show. We simulcast on Vimeo, YouTube, and Facebook. So, we have a great show lined up for you here today. We were originally going to attempt in the first half an hour or so of the show to have a couple of guests, but some technical issues intervened and we are not going to be able to bring them live on the air today. We'll try to push our guests back to next week's show, should everything go well technically. That being said, today's show is going to be an all call-in show. As we did last week for most of the show, we are going to take your calls through our Discord server. You can go to whatonearthishappening.com/show to get the link, or /Discord to go right into the Discord server. Discord is a simple video conferencing app that will let you call in for free anywhere in the world into this broadcast. So we'll be going to your calls live for questions and clarifications regarding any material that has ever been covered in the entire What on Earth is Happening podcast series. As always, I'd like to remind new viewers or listeners that this show is a series of cumulative information. What that means is that you cannot listen to later shows in isolation. You have to look at it as a course, okay? Just like a public school course in a university, for example, you would not be able to join class number 55, never having heard any of the classes from 1 through 54. Okay? What on Earth is Happening works the exact same way. This is a course. It's an online course. Look at it like that. Okay? You wouldn't jump into a college course 3/4 of the way through the semester and expect to understand the material being discussed. This show works the exact same way as a college course. Okay? It is a stepwise progression of information in which the later episodes have prerequisite knowledge and material that must be absorbed and taken in and fully understood from the earlier episodes. So you have to go to the beginning of this entire podcast series and listen in order at your own pace. If you're new, you don't want to start here. That's a completely wrong, incorrect approach. And I'm going to start saying this every single week, no matter how repetitive and laborious it becomes, because many new listeners do not do this, and then they cannot hear or understand what is actually being said. No matter how many times they listen to it, they do not have the prerequisite knowledge covered in earlier episodes. So please, if you're a new viewer, go to my website, whatonearthishappening.com, click the podcast tab, and go to podcast in order with the red link and listen in order at your own pace. And then you will understand what we are discussing and talking about in the later episodes. You have to listen to them in order. Okay, that being said, let's jump over to my slide presentation. It's ready. Okay, this is the artwork for today's show. Again, this is episode 232, Questions and Clarifications, Call-In Show Part 2. We started doing this last week. I thought it was a great idea to let viewers ask questions and request clarification on topics. Because, folks, let me tell you something. People still don't have a firm grasp of the philosophy that I discuss here on What on Earth is Happening. I see it all over in social media and all over the internet. A lot of people have very half-assed understanding of these topics, these philosophical and moral issues. And many of them think that they know in great hubris. They listen a little bit, they watch a little bit, they've heard a couple of my videos, and then they think they understand it fully and deeply. And most people, I have to say, sadly, do not fully and deeply understand this material. Many of them think that they do erroneously. And what I wanted to have this week, but we'll have to push to next week, is some people who are active on social media who have seen this very dynamic of many people thinking that they know, but they have halfway knowledge, and they want to speak out and hear themselves talk, but they do not have a firm moral or philosophical foundation regarding natural law and anarchy. And then they are spreading their lack of awareness in a lot of false hubris and pride, because they believe they have it fully figured out when they do not, and they have not gone deeply enough into the material to understand the truth regarding natural law and the truth regarding anarchy. And there is not an opinion regarding these things. There is an actual objective truth regarding these matters. They are moral matters. They are not matters of subjective opinion. Moral matters have a truth, an objective truth regarding them, because morality is objective. And many people are still stuck in their subjective, ill-informed opinions regarding these philosophical and moral matters. And yet their ego is in the way, and they believe they know, and they talk out, and then they start teaching others when they don't have a firm grasp on first principles. And when that happens, ultimately, they're not doing the movement anything good. They're not doing our movement to try to morally educate human beings any kind of a service whatsoever. They are actually doing harm, and they're creating obfuscation within the movement. They're doing harm to the effort of trying to reach out in any type of a wide-scale effort and morally educate the public. And, I have to say that my entire take or opinion on this, and we will get to your calls. Once again, to join us, just click the call-in link on the show page, whatonearthishappening.com/show. Click the call-in. I'll go through a little bit of a monologue here before we go to your calls, because I want to emphasize some things, okay? We're also going to take emails, and I'll give the email address for that as well. It's going to be questions@whatonearthishappening.com. That's the new email I set up last week. If you want to email questions into the show, you can send your questions or requests for clarification to questions@whatonearthishappening.com. But I just want to say a little bit more about this. I occasionally monitor where the pulse of the public is, where their consciousness is at on social media. I don't interact that much, okay, on social media. I usually generally tell people about what I'm doing, what my projects are, and how to get to things that I am currently doing on social media. That's what I use it for. I don't sit and argue with people on social media. I really think that social media is somewhat of a trap, to be quite honest. I think it is there to allow a lot of people who have no knowledge whatsoever, or a lot of people who have half-assed knowledge, to just endlessly debate and argue amongst themselves. And this does no teaching. It provides no true experience of learning on the part of a potential student. Most potential students get very quickly frustrated with that because they're not receiving any good quality understanding, okay, or instruction or advice. And what it ends up being is a chorus of noise, of ignoramuses, and people who have incredibly huge egos that they cannot remove or get out of the way to actually teach well, okay? And what happens is the message ultimately gets diluted and ultimately lost. I think engaging people in any type of a philosophical or moral discussion or argument through text in social media is completely doing a disservice to the entire freedom, truth, and teaching natural law movement, if you even want to call those movements. I believe the people engaged in that effort long term are not helping. Now, there are even my guests that I may bring on, or probably am going to bring on next week, may vehemently disagree with that. And I personally do not care. That is their, take on it. I'm giving you my take. Okay. In other words, what we could do is even have a difference of opinion regarding what methods are effective. Do you know what methods I believe are effective? And I think I've shown that they are effective. Effective methodology in teaching natural law and morality is not going on to a social media platform of any kind that is controlled by someone else and then talking through text. First of all, tremendous amounts of context get lost through texting, okay? I don't care how clear you make the language. You can always refine language through speaking. When you send a message via text, it's permanently that way, the end, okay? What I think is effective is formalizing your knowledge through some form of spoken media, whether it has video attached to the speech or not. That means making an audio podcast, an audio MP3, doing a live audio stream, or making a video podcast where you do a live video stream. And then you formalize your teaching. You put it out in a well-constructed outline of information. Or you put it out in a well-constructed presentation with visuals, as we do here constantly on What on Earth is Happening. Okay? So, if you do it that way, and then you disable comments. Now, some people are going to vehemently disagree and say, oh, that's censorship. No, it is not. It is you putting your information in a formalized way on your platform and then saying, I am going to allow this information to stand on its own as is without distraction of a chorus of other voices. If people want to go into the knowledge, they can watch or listen. And if they don't want to spend their time to do that, then that's on them. I feel that is the most effective method of teaching and learning. I think comments are a distraction. I have always taken this approach. And guess what? That's why I'm effective. And believe me, I am effective. Okay? I'm not as effective as I would like to be because of how much ego and distraction there is online and how much disinformation there is online. But when a serious student encounters my work and decides I'm going to put the effort into learning this material and I'm going to take my ego and push it to the side, no matter what I hear, I'm going to engage the material based on its truthfulness, its veracity. When a student does that and removes their ego, then the transformation can occur. That's called putting your consciousness in the modality of proper reception. And you have to get the idea of what the teacher is, says, looks like, sounds like out of the way. That's not his problem or her problem. That's your problem. That's your ego. And you know what? Too few people do this and too few people teach this. That the student's ego is the problem. And I don't agree with toning down the message. Guess what? If you want to do that and tone it down, that's on you. That's fine if you want to do it that way. Many different people can do it through many different methods. Okay? It's not a one-size-all approach. Okay, there's different strokes for different folks. Some people will not be able to hear the message from Mark Passio because of how abrasive and straightforward I am. And guess what? I call those people little snowflakes, little babies. I don't apologize. You're just not an emotional adult, and you can't handle somebody saying the truth harshly to you. That's my personality. I don't give a damn whether you can't receive it that way. I have no intention of changing my methodology or my personality. If you don't like me, turn my show the fuck off. Period. The end. And I don't give a shit. That's your karma, and ultimately it's your fucking funeral. Okay? Because I'm explaining the truth about what's taking place in this time of slavery that is occurring in our world. If you can't hear it, like a man, like a grown-ass man or a grown-ass woman, that is not on me. That's your ego that is in the way. So you can say whatever you want regarding that in your ego, but guess what? It's your ego problem. It is not my problem. As long as I speak the truth and I say what is true, anything else is your problem, not mine. So I'm tired of hearing it, and I don't care what your opinion is on it. And guess what? Stop fucking telling me to do it different. It's not your fucking business. I'll do it how I want. This is my platform and my show. Go tell yourself to do it different, okay? You're free to do it your way and show me how it's done. And when you're as effective and you've reached as many tens of thousands of people as I have, then you have room to talk, punk. Okay? So I'm not interested in hearing it anymore from people. Go do it your way, asshole. All right? So I'll butt back with more ego. You want to display ego? I'll butt you right back with more ego. That's what you'll get. My point here overall is, ladies and gentlemen, you are not really helping the effort of teaching natural law and doing the great work unless you are putting out original content on a platform of your own, publishing that content and letting it stand on its own and archiving it. It's not a fly-by-night thing, where you don't archive it all in one place. That's what real teaching is. That's called assembly of course material. You archive it for people so that they can go back and watch it at any time. And that's what I have done here with What on Earth is Happening, freely, unhindered. Sitting there on a Facebook thread and arguing with an idiot does nothing to help this cause. That doesn't change anybody. You know what changes someone in their heart and mind and soul? When they sit and engage information and they look at it deeply and they go into it in a very deep and profound way, and they are then honest with themselves about what they are hearing, and then they are honest with themselves about how they think and how they behave. And a tiny percentage of people are doing that, largely because the formats we are attempting to engage them on are completely ineffective. And people insist upon thinking the way to change hearts and minds is through Facebook, arguing on Facebook. It's a child's imbecilic approach, quite frankly. Now, that being said, if you are going to open up some type of a forum or public space on Facebook and you want to allow it to be a free-for-all, you are going to see it quickly degrade, because what you are doing is you are opening up the floodgates and you are allowing all the dross to pour in. Look up the word dross. D-R-O-S-S. It's the vocabulary word of the day, folks. It means low quality material. It means stuff that really doesn't belong in there with the high quality stuff. And there is dross in people. You engage with a large group of people, you are always going to have some quality people that are going to be in the very tiny minority, and then you're going to have a large group of people in the entirety of the group that are dross. Okay, they are the chaff. Okay, they are the sludge of the group. All right, and all they're going to do is obfuscate, bring ego to the table. They're going to just cloud and muddy the waters. And if you engage in a public space, you will see invariably 95% or greater of the participants are dross. They are not quality individuals. And then when I advocate for the position that we should not allow the dross to act as the teachers of the group. So what this is like saying to someone who has no formal understanding of any form of higher level mathematics, for example, a calculus 4 level class, okay? And you allow someone who doesn't even have an accurate understanding of arithmetic operations to go in and start yelling in the middle of the attempt to teach people a calculus level 4 class in higher level mathematics. Okay? Imagine what that would do to the potential students. If you are teaching a foreign language class and it's advanced foreign language like French level 3, conversational French, and you have someone coming in there that doesn't speak a word of French and going, I'm going to just start talking in English, and you're suddenly going to know how French sounds and is constructed and how you can speak to other people in that language, and you're going to say that person is just as valid as a native French speaker who speaks it fluently and can teach it. No, that's incorrect. There is a reason that people have different levels of understanding and are more qualified to teach material that has a truth. If you just want the group to be flailing away with wild opinions, that's one thing. And it doesn't matter. Like, oh, what kinds of food, what kinds of, ethnic cuisine are palatable foods, and how do you prepare them? Well, guess what? That's an entirely subjective opinion group. And you can go and have people fire away thousands or millions of opinion, and they'll all conflict and contrast. And guess what? It all ultimately does not really matter, because that's all a matter of taste and subjective opinion. But when you have something as important as natural law and the concept of anarchy, and you know that these have definitive truths regarding them and are not matters of subjective opinion, if you just open the floodgates and allow that, quote, conversation, forum, whatever you want to look at it as, to be a complete free-for-all with absolutely zero moderation, you are not doing the community any kind of a service. You are actually harming the educational effort and outreach. And guess what? I don't really care if anybody agrees with that. That's also not an opinion. That is actually what it will do. That is the truth regarding how that dynamic works. And it is not my subjective opinion regarding how that dynamic works. That is what will happen to any course material that has an objective truth to it, just like mathematics or a foreign language. If you don't agree with that, you're actually incorrect. It's not my opinion. There is a truth regarding that. It is an objectively true statement, not my opinion. And for anybody with half a brain in their skull, you will understand what I've just said is objectively true. It's called common sense, and most people don't have it. Okay, so next week, if we can get it together technologically, okay, and I get very upset about things like this, and I'm going to just briefly say, I'm going to have a discussion with some people from social media regarding this dynamic. Because we've implemented some moderation in a group, I've helped an admin who needed help. And when I offered the help, he gratefully and thankfully accepted the help. It was not an ultimatum to him. It was not a takeover. It was not a request. It was a offer of assistance that was gratefully accepted. For anybody who is not in the know regarding what I'm referring to, we'll clarify this next week, okay? Because rumors are floating around social media that I'm trying to act as some kind of a censor of other people's language. It has zero to do with that, folks. That is a lie and a misconstruence of what took place. A group administrator who started a group totally lost control of the quality of the content within a group on social media because him and his other administrators did zero to moderate the quality of the content coming into the group. It descended into an absolute free-for-all of nonsense, ego, and completely untrue statements regarding material that does have objective truth. And when I saw that and asked if the administrator / owner of this area of Facebook acknowledged that this was indeed a problem, he fully and wholeheartedly agreed, yes, this is a problem. Yes, I see what you see. And if you are offering assistance, I will gladly take assistance because, quite frankly, he said he was at the end of his rope regarding what to do to corral this. Okay? And yes, it did, quote, need to be corralled or reeled in because it was so, folks, it was so out of control. I'm going to briefly tell you how out of control it was before we go to your calls. Here's how out of control it was. I was getting up in the morning and just flipping through a little bit of social media. I do this occasionally to see where the pulse is. I had just woken up. I was still halfway groggy. I'm laying in bed. I'm flipping through my phone a little bit, and I'm saying, let's see where the consciousness is at. Okay? This is how I gauge where people are at and what my work is to do and what I need to be able to accurately inform other people that their work is to do regarding the one great work. Okay? So I saw things that were being posted in this one forum or area or Facebook group, okay? And it was so outrageously horrific that I literally was physically shaking regarding how poor the content of teaching and communication of the truth of the matter regarding natural law and anarchy were within and among the members of this group. It made me that angry, and people will go, don't let things like this get you that angry. Well, folks, let me tell you something. If that's everybody's approach, why fucking do anything? Why wake up and bother to do a thing regarding human freedom being destroyed? Just let it be destroyed and accept slavery, accept your bondage, and accept your fucking chains. Okay? If you don't want to exert your will to try to improve the teaching and reception of this truth that is not a matter of opinion, then just lay in a corner and rot. Okay? You're not involved. Your will is not activated. Your actions are not activated. Okay? And so don't tell me not to get upset. My being upset is righteous indignation, which drives my right action. That's called the sacred gift of anger. I am getting angry for a valid reason and purpose. It is lighting a fire under my ass to eventually do something about it. Most people just, this false stoicism. Look, hey, there's good forms of stoic emotion where you get down to the thing and you just do it. And you say, okay, this is the time to actually implement it and do it, and you don't have to stay angry while you're doing it. That's constructive stoicism. But there's forms of stoicism that are forms of mind control. And that is like, never get angry about anything. That's new age bullshit. We have to ultimately realize that when things are so wildly off base and they're doing harm to the effort, they're doing harm to the one great work effort, we have to try to set it back on track. And sometimes our anger will help to motivate us to do that. So I'll have the admin and some other moderators now explain what occurred, and they can even tell you honestly how angry I was. I don't even care if they say that publicly because I was damn angry. I was so angry I had to step away from the discussion and go and calm myself down. You know, that's how angry I was. Because there's blatant government trolls and disruptors out there. And when we do absolutely nothing and we let them hold sway, we let them have total and utter, we let them take the reins. You know what's happening to this teaching? The quality will go in the toilet bowl. It will go straight into the toilet. And we cannot let that happen. Folks, it's hard enough to teach this in a quality way to quality students, let alone just saying, have a free-for-all and say whatever the fuck you want about natural law or anarchy. We had people in this place saying morality is relative, teaching the very thing that destroys human freedom. People saying humans are the highest power in creation, teaching that in this group. People saying natural law, oh, that's how animals behave. That's the natural order of the animal kingdom, and humans are no different than that. Why shouldn't we apply animal behavior to human beings? That's not natural law. There's a truth regarding that. People saying we have dominion over the earth and its creatures. Animals belong to us to take their lives and use them however we want. Stuff like this is being said in a group called natural law. And folks, I don't own the term. It's a philosophical term that describes a set of conditions and laws that exist naturally in the universe, in nature, that are inherent to creation and work objectively and flawlessly everywhere in creation, in the entire 3D manifested universe and beyond. So the term doesn't belong to me, and that's why I said to the administrator, I can't give you an ultimatum. You're not using my name, or you're not using my website's name. I gave other administrators of Facebook groups in the past, folks, to just be blatantly honest, full disclosure. I gave them ultimatums. If you don't clean up this group, take my name off of it. And that's my right to do so. If you're going to use my private name as an individual for a group, and you misrepresent my teachings or allow it to descend in a free-for-all of total misinformation and untruth, don't put my name on it. Put your own fucking name on it, and then let your name turn to shit. You're not going to do that with my name. Okay? My name is essentially my property, and essentially what you are doing regarding that is you are besmirching my good name. Because I do understand this accurately. And I'm not going to have people out there teach it inaccurately with my name on it. And that's why I respectfully asked the administrator, I can't give you an ultimatum and tell you what to do with your group, but I can make recommendations and I can say, do you want help? And he gratefully accepted. So we'll have more on this next week. And, you know, what I just want to, there was something else I wanted to finish saying regarding it. It's slipping my mind, but yeah, if it doesn't have my name on it, I clearly can't give him an ultimatum. Okay. But if it does have my name on it, I could tell people, take my name off of that group. I don't want your bad ideas reflecting on me and then having people think that's what I teach. Okay? So, just want to clarify that. We're going to try to get about 3 people as guests on next week if all goes well. And, bring them on to help discuss this and explain what really occurred truthfully and objectively without all the conjecture of people who were not privy to the meeting and what actually occurred, okay? Or they have a skewed idea, opinion, or understanding of what actually occurred, okay? So we'll clarify that hopefully next week. Let's get into I have a couple of slides before we go to the calls. Let's go back to the slides. We're still accepting donations for the Natural Law documentary. Folks, I think next week I'm going to have some pictures of some things that we were doing this week. I re-recorded my dialogue to make it higher quality in video and audio. We have some photo shoots of some of that stuff, of doing that. The main timeline is in. We are going to add and clean up some of the new dialogue, and the whole editing process is going very well. We are projected as completely on schedule to have this finished certainly by the end of the year. I'm not 100% promising that as a delivery date. It could slip into early next year, but right now, as it stands, we are on track. And if you want to make a donation, help complete this to pay for the editing of this, 100% of all donations go directly to production costs. Please do not just go to the straight donation page. Go to gifts.whatonearthishappening.com and click the documentary donation link. Okay? That is where you can donate for the documentary completion, not at the donate page. You go to gifts.whatonearthishappening.com. If you make a donation through the Gifts website, you will receive a free copy of the completed documentary on flash drive and DVD for your donation. There's 5 tiers, donation tiers at gifts.whatonearthishappening.com. Also, we have new t-shirts, flash drives, DVDs, the complete Mark Passio One Great Work Collection solid state drive, all very popular items at gifts.whatonearthishappening.com. Thank you very much to anyone who has donated to Gifts. We appreciate that, and it helps fund our efforts here at What on Earth is Happening. I've gotten some new camera equipment as a result of your donations. We have been able to pay a video editor as a result of these donations. I've been able to get new mics, an entirely new camera set up here. So this is what funds the effort, your generous donation. So thank you to anyone who has ever donated to the What on Earth is Happening cause. Again, I'm going to be continuing to announce that we are working in proud cooperation with Autonomy Unlimited. Autonomy is the brainchild of Richard Grove of TragedyAndHope.com. You can learn more about the Autonomy Project at getautonomy.info. I am going to be basically now an official affiliate of Autonomy. We will be getting that affiliate link posted to the whatonearthishappening.com website. We'll probably have a banner and a sidebar button posted for Autonomy this week on the whatonearthishappening.com website. They're setting us up with that official affiliation, and we will start promoting that for them. That is done in cooperation in return for the generous help that they are providing for the What on Earth is Happening cause through technical assistance. So thank you to Autonomy. You guys have a tremendous team that you have put together there. I highly recommend people check it out. And thank you for your assistance in the cause, for the cause of What on Earth is Happening. It's greatly valued and appreciated and was so very needed. So thank you. The How to Become the True Media seminar, online seminar to teach technology and publishing skills has been filled for quite some time. We just completed class number 3 last week. We're going to be giving class number 4 this Tuesday, July 28th. The webinar itself begins at 7 p.m. to give people 1 hour of time to enter the webinar. And then we officially start class instruction promptly at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Please be on time. You have 1 hour to join the webinar. That's plenty of time to get in. Or you might miss important information that I will not repeat later. Please keep a notepad handy to write down your questions, because I will go to your questions periodically during the class instruction. We then break afterward for 2 hours after the webinar ends at 11 p.m. officially. And then I'm always going to allow at least 2 hour post-discussion time, post-class discussion time. I will let the webinar run until 1 a.m. Eastern Time for anyone who wants to stay in and continue informal discussion and or ask questions to myself or any of the other members of the class. Please wear headphones if you're going to interact. If you're going to remain silent, headphones are not necessary. But if you are going to participate with your voice, please do wear headphones, because if you do not wear headphones, then what happens is your audio echoes back into your microphone and creates a distraction to me and other class students and participants. So please wear headphones while in the class if you are going to interact with the class. If you have any technical problems whatsoever, please email us. We are here to assist you to resolve those issues. The email address for any technical problems for How to Become the True Media webinar is truemedia@whatonearthishappening.com, and we will take that very seriously and get on that, and we will help assist you until your problem is resolved. This has been very productive so far. The class is going great. We are going to be continuing with customization of operating systems and getting into hard drive and different forms of flash drive and optical storage methods and techniques, and showing that hardware this week in the class. That's what we're up to in the class. So really look forward to this week's class. Thank you to all the students. You guys have been great so far, and looking forward to continuing class instruction this week in class number 4. So that being said, the call-in link to join us here on What on Earth is Happening live for this all call-in show for questions and clarifications is whatonearthishappening.com/Discord. Discord meaning, cutting the cord of a telephone line, right? It doesn't mean, chaos and things like that. It's a little acronym, or not an acronym, but like a clever word meaning cut the phone cord. You're not going to be charged for this. It's all free. It's basically open source software, and you could basically call anybody anywhere in the world using this. No long distance fees. It works over the internet. It can connect you via voice or camera, and anybody can set up a server like we did here. And that enables a lot of participation capabilities, and you could set up different roles on the server. It's got simplicity to it, and then the complexity is there if you want to use it. So it's very adaptable and versatile software. That's why we chose it for What on Earth is Happening. They've improved it greatly since we started using it. I've had a lot less problems with it recently. The developers are doing a good job moving the development forward. So you could download it at discord.com/app, I believe is the URL for that if you want to download the desktop version. But if you just want to get into the call-in room, there's the link on the screen, whatonearthishappening.com/Discord. You can email questions regarding anything that I've ever talked about here on What on Earth is Happening, or clarification requests to questions@whatonearthishappening.com. I just set up this email last Saturday or Sunday, and we've already gotten lots of emails, so I'm going to be reading more of them on the air and fielding questions in between audio calls. So I just want to do a couple of quick slides before we jump in. This is me waiting for people to realize that the mainstream media is the most dangerous infectious virus. Okay? We might be waiting until we're skeletons for that one, folks. Just sitting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and the public consciousness doesn't move a millimeter. It doesn't move a nanometer, sadly. Okay? People still naively and insanely believe the mainstream media is telling them the truth when they are satanic pedophile protectors. That's what you are in the mainstream media, you low-life scumbags. You are satanic pedophile protectors, and you are paid whore liars. And guess what? Your cohorts in big tech and your cohorts in so-called social media, you're Nazi trash censorship, lying, satanic pedophile protectors. And you're going to be held accountable in creation for your crimes against humanity. You are criminals against humanity. You are criminal traitors against humanity. I'm talking to Google, to Apple, to Twitter, to Facebook, and even to Vimeo. Vimeo took down my last podcast because I talked about exosomes and how viruses are not what we think they are. Fuck you, you dirty rat fucking Nazis at Vimeo. You're trash human beings. Your fucking garbage parents were fucking trash. And you are a Nazi fascist fucking censor. There is a truth regarding it. The science is not settled. You think you know, and you're dumb ignoramuses, and you don't know, and you haven't studied it, and you're not privy to the science. You listen to garbage, fascist, trash, satanic, pedophile protectors in the mainstream media, and you think you know, and you're dumb fucking ignoramuses who don't know. Fuck you, you dirty Nazi pieces of trash. How about that? Ban me from your whole fucking platform. I could give a shit. You won't stop me! You don't know the will you're up against, son! You won't stop me, motherfucker! Try your worst! You try your worst, you dirty rat fucking Nazis! You don't know who you're up against. That should be everybody's attitude regarding what's going on in big tech and social media. And guess what? I can say it like that because I'm in the right. I have the truth regarding it. And you don't. Yeah, here's the dumb idiots in our society saying, not now, to his wife, not now, Carla. CNN is about to tell me what I believe. That's what you fucking jerk-offs at Vimeo and YouTube and Google and Facebook and Apple and Twitter. This is your retarded ass thinking that the television's informing you and your whore media masters are telling you anything resembling truth. You're a rotten little punk fucking bitch child. And you're ultimately a fascist fucking Nazi piece of dirt. I'm not going to sugarcoat it to you, you rotten piece of fucking trash. That's what you are. You're trash fucking garbage and your parents fucked you up. That's the truth of the matter, not my opinion on it. And folks, I was describing this scene. My in-house artist made a beautiful rendition that is highly accurate, actually. Okay? I described this scene of a Satanist laughing. And as a matter of fact, take it off for now because I'm going to on the fly add his laugh, which I neglected to put into the slide because we had all these technical issues. And I was trying to do that earlier and actually neglected to do it. Folks, I make mistakes. I don't entirely have my act together all the time either. Okay? So let me go into where I need to go in on my other machine over the network and get this audio file and actually include it. So just give me a moment. This won't take that long. But, my point here is I described this scene of what occurred at a ritual that I attended in the late 1990s of Satanists. And I really want to describe what occurred once again before we go to calls. I know I'm taking up a lot of call times. We'll get to your calls. Okay? So let me get his MP3 file of the laugh. I got it. And I'm going to add that into the slide momentarily. This will take 1 second. I described this a couple of weeks ago because what I want people to understand is who the Satanists really are that we are up against. Okay? And most people don't know who they are. They don't know anything about what they're like or what their networks are like. And they have this completely false understanding of Satanism and the kind of people who are involved. So I want to try to describe that to people. Okay? Give me 1 moment to get the audio correct here in my presentation. Okay, let's see if this plays it immediately or I have to click it. It might be correct. We're not getting any sound, right? All right, so I'll have to click for the sound. That's what I wanted. Thank you. Thanks for bearing with me doing that, folks. We had a lot of technical trouble before the show and had to cancel 3 guests. So, that's why I neglected to do that, putting that audio in there. I got it corrected on the fly. So, I was in a ritual home. It was a private dwelling, a private home in rural northern Maryland in a city called Whitehall. There were about, I'm going to say or guesstimate, 35 to 40 people in attendance in the entire house. Some of them were the owner, the actual family in the house. Some of them, most of them were people who came in from out of the area. And they had a large multi-car driveway. They had a large multi-car garage. It was what you might describe as a rural McMansion of a sort. I wouldn't say that it was anything approximating extremely large homes out in the Hollywood Hills like Beverly Hills stars live in, but it had some acreage to it. It was fairly isolated, not tremendously. And The people were certainly pretty rich, low upper class. I wouldn't say they were, super rich elitists at the top of the food chain of the financial structure, but they had considerable money and lived in a very nice home. There was a area set up with some basic banquet tables and catered food after the actual ritual took place in the basement of the home. And this was what is known as, on this day, a compassion ritual or a sympathetic ritual. Some grottos describe it differently, a sympathy ritual or a compassion ritual. What that means is they gather as what they refer to as a mastermind, meaning that they all have intent and clarity of focus on one goal. As I recall, and I don't remember exactly what the goal or focus of the ritual was, but it was to get some type of legislation passed in the local area. They had point people in the local government, and they wanted to pass legislation and get it voted through in the council, where they had people on that membership board or council board. Okay? That's what the ritual was for, to direct energy toward that goal, to direct intent and focus toward getting that goal accomplished. And then they go out into the real world and do it. Okay? So it's not just ritual magic. It's ritual magic combined with willpower to actually do it in the 3D domain as well, but then put the energetic focus behind it as winds in the sail of that ship. So, this is what a gathering of Satanists looks like. From one who has been there with them, namely me. That is me depicted in the foreground on the left when I was younger. Okay? Not too bad of a rendition. And this is really what it looked like, folks, as closely as my artist could draw it based upon my description. This is so far, few people have attempted to draw this. This is the closest that I have seen anyone come to getting it exactly as it was. On the patio outside the door is that gentleman in the back wearing that little headset, okay? He has a gun on his hip, okay? Or, on his left there is what is depicted there, a holster. He had a traditional military/police style haircut, that short jar haircut. He was definitely Germanic or Anglo-Saxon in his heritage. Pretty big guy, pretty muscular, standing outside guarding the satanic ritual home and ritual chamber. Inside, after the ritual concluded, we came up to this reception area that had outside of it these hexagonal windows that you could see out onto the patio area, and then there were all the cars parked out beyond this guard in the driveway area. He was guarding the place the whole time and did not participate in the ritual. When we came up to the reception area where food was served and discussion took place for a couple of hours after the ritual concluded, this is what the people generally looked like. They had taken their robes off. They were in three-piece suits, most of them. I was in a simple pair of black slacks and a black button-down shirt with sleeves. I wore a Baphomet medallion, which is a satanic inverted pentagram with the goat inside of the pentagram. You can't see that depicted in this drawing because my back is turned for the most part. The individual I was talking to looked almost identical to this. It's as good of an artistic rendition as I've seen an artist do to what he actually looked like. He was saying, this is a pretty good paraphrasing. If I don't get it exactly correct, it's a very accurate to the spirit of what he said, paraphrasing. Look at him out there, meaning the guard on the other side of the window, who was a Maryland cop, who was an active duty cop on a Maryland City police force. I do not know which city it was, but he was an active duty police officer, not in police clothing. He was in plain street clothes. They were either dark blue or black. I'm pretty sure they were black. Similar to what is depicted there, okay? And he was off duty at the time, a member of the grotto, a police officer, guarding the other Satanists on their request to guard them outside of the home and not participate in the ritual while it was taking place, but instead to act in the capacity of a guard, or what is known in Freemasonry as a Tyler. Okay? Who the Satanist in the foreground, who I believe his name was, I'm trying to remember, but I cannot even recall this guy's name, and it bothers me. I'm not going to attempt to do that on the air. I'll try to do the best to my ability to recall it, but he was saying and laughing hilariously at this guy guarding the house. He said, "Look at him out there guarding us. He's one of our dogs, one of our pets." And I basically said, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "There are animals, there are dogs, our pets. We own them all." And I'm like, "Who do you mean? What are you talking about?" And he said, "We own the police and military. We own them all of them throughout the world. We could call those shots. We conduct their behavior like a trainer of an animal tells the animal what to do. And because they're so well trained and so well indoctrinated into what the master wants, that they do it by rote. It's at the snap of a finger." He said, they will sit when we tell them to sit. They will attack when we tell them to attack. They will kill. They kill when we tell them to kill. Just like the well-trained animals they are. This is who what your masters think of you, little children in the police and military. The order followers out there who are doing the bidding of these people, who are sick, satanic pedophiles, and this isn't a claim. This is the truth of the matter. They are the owners of all the governments. They are the owners of all the religions. They are the owners of all the media. They are the owners of all the secret societies. They are the owners of all the police, all the military, all the education systems, all the publishing houses, all the financial institutions, all the banks, all the central banks, all the think tanks. You could go on and on and on. They're the masters and owners of that entire infrastructure of the world. You want to think that that's untrue? Go ahead and think whatever the fuck you want. That'll never make that statement that I just made untrue, and it will never make it untrue that they own the police and military and think of them like this. From their lips to my ears. This isn't a secondhand account. I was in the room with them. If you don't accept that or believe that, fuck you. You're not going to tell me what my life experiences were because you, asshole, weren't there. And I was. So I want to thank Mark, my in-house graphic artist, for doing a fantastic job in rendering this as closely to accurate as he could based upon my description. Awesome job, man. Thank you. Thank you. This is a tremendously valuable effort that I have asked for, and finally someone has come in and started drawing things that I have witnessed, or concepts that I want drawn that there is no image that you could search an image for. And here's what he sounded like. He then did a huge belly laugh after saying this about the very person doing his bidding outside on the patio guarding him. Here's the belly laugh. Let's see if this comes through. Okay, I was monitoring that in my headphones. That is almost identical, especially the last one at the end, where he was almost gagging. You could hear he couldn't barely even get the air out because he was laughing so hard. Like when you laugh so hysterically at something that all the breath and wind leaves your lungs. That is almost identical in that last part to what he actually sounded like, how he was maniacally laughing at this off-duty cop doing his bidding. That is what they think of you, you rat punks in the military and police. You're a tool. You're a child. You're a naive little child. You're an order-following child who has mommy and daddy issues. You hate yourself deep down inside in your heart. You hate yourself deep down inside in your soul. You're immoral trash who probably had immoral trash as parents. And guess what? I'm not going to be light on you. I'm not going to tell you, oh, it's no fault of your own. It's your fault for not dealing with your trauma or your reasons for self-loathing and self-hatred. It's not anybody's fault but your own that you do the biddings of psychopaths like this. It's your fault. As the saying goes, were not responsible for the trauma that was done to you as a child during your childhood. But you, as an adult, are 100% responsible for fixing yourself and healing yourself of that trauma as an adult. You have not done that, and therefore all the moral culpability is upon you, and I'm not going to sugarcoat that or tell you that there's an excuse for your continued immoral behavior. You are responsible for your continued immoral behavior in doing the bidding of Satanists who own and control the organizations at the highest level that you are a willing member of. You are in a cult, whether you understand that or not. That is the eternal objective truth of the matter. If you do not accept that, your ego is in the way, and or you are a naive child who does not have the facts at your disposal. I will not tell you, oh, it's okay if that's not your opinion now. Let somebody else tell you nicely that if you can't hear the truth from me. It doesn't make it untrue. It's still true, nonetheless. And I'm not going to sugarcoat my words or delivery because it's too fucking late in the game for that. If someone else wants to do that, please stop asking me to change my approach. You don't own my behavior. Do me a favor. Take my advice and go do the fucking work yourself. I'm not interested in your suggestions or opinion, and I quite frankly don't give a fuck about them. And I don't care whether you think my method is ineffective. I'm going to do it how I want because that's my free will decision to do so, and you have no right to fucking tell me to do any different, and I don't want to fucking hear it anymore. Do you understand, assholes? Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Even my own listenership. I don't give a shit what you think about my delivery. Stop making suggestions to me. Go out and do the fucking work yourself. You're a lazy bag of shit who is doing nothing to help. After all the effort that I have put into doing this, and then I dare the fucking unmitigated nerve and gall of people saying, you do it different, Mark. Fuck you. That's going to be my attitude. You're an ingrate and you don't understand what I've gone through. You don't know my fucking trauma. You don't know my fucking cathartic outlet. I'm not bottling up my anger and getting cancer. You want to do that? You fucking do that. Don't tell me I have to do that. And I'll show as much or as little emotion as I fucking want. You haven't walked the fucking miles I've walked in my shoes. Quite frankly. And guess what? If you weren't doing the work that I've been doing, I'd know your fucking name by now, boy or girl. I'd know your name by now. We're going to have some people that have walked down this path coming onto the show. I'm trying to get some pretty heavyweight people who have been involved in Satanism. Okay? I'm going to reach out to a former friend who was involved. I'm going to reach out to someone who was in Hollywood and try to bring them on, who saw this firsthand. And I'm going to reach out to someone in a very high-level bloodline family who has already verbally agreed to come on to the show. And you're going to hear it firsthand from him. And he will corroborate what I am saying. With no prompting on my part, he'll tell you how it really works. You assholes who think that Satanism is a fucking bunch of dumb children in black robes in a thicketed part of the forest in a clearing sacrificing animals. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and you have a Hollywood version of Satanism that told you what it is, and you naively believe the assholes in Hollywood. Go back to the slide. This is what a meeting of real power brokers in Satanism in the Satanic Network looks like. That's what it looks like. They're not out there in the forest sacrificing animals, you dumb fucks. Okay? That's what it really looks like from someone who's been with them. I'm just sick of the ignorance, folks. I can't take it. You know, I've been doing this for too long and I'm burnt. I'm burnt, folks. I'll admit it and say it right out there to people. I am at the level of total breaking point when it comes to other people's ignorance after this long of putting the truth out and still seeing they are no closer whatsoever to the understanding or reception of what the actual world situation that they are embedded in actually is. And most of all, their ego's so in the way they don't want to learn or know. That's why I get upset and angry. And guess what? All the people who say, Mark, I think you're doing a good job, you're not helping. Actually teach it. Formalize it. Formalize it. Don't go on Facebook and try to convince assholes on Facebook, egoic pricks on Facebook, that you're going to change their hearts and minds. It doesn't work like that. That's a fool's folly game. Formalize your message. Learn how to use publishing software. Write a book. Make a podcast. Make a video. Don't shout into the wilderness of Facebook or Twitter. You are wasting your time. You are wasting your energy, and it is not helping. That truly is ineffective. The way I have done my work has been effective. The problem is I'm one of the only people doing it that way. That's the problem. And then all the other people who want to see it done a different way don't do it. They tell me to do it their way. Fuck you. I'm not here to do it your way. I'm here to do it my way. I don't want suggestions on how to do my show. I'll do it how I want, asshole. And I'm telling you, I'll react how I want to react. I'm going to react to hammer the fucking message through to thick-headed fucking people. And nobody's going to tell me not to do it that way. Fuck you. So here's the deal. Get out there and do the great work on your terms. Don't tell anybody else how to do it. Could you imagine if I called up somebody like Michael Tessarion or Jordan Maxwell or David Icke? Like, yeah, listen, Michael, do me a favor. All the work you've put out over the years, all the voluminous volumes of work, regardless of what you think of me, right? I want you to do it a different way. Could you imagine the hubris on my part telling someone like Michael Tessarion to do his work a different way based on all the years of blood he's put in? And it doesn't even matter what he thinks of me. He doesn't even have to respect me for us to actually be peers in the work. You can think whatever about me that you want. That doesn't change what I think of what somebody has put out into the world and how they have formalized it. I call up David Icke. David, listen, your last interview on London Real, look, I would have said this differently. Could you imagine what an asshole I would have to be to do something like that? Listen, David, I would have said it a little bit differently than that. And, I don't know about how you're going on, London Real and talking about some of these topics because I might have done it differently than that. Think about what you sound like. But then make it even worse. Make it even worse, folks. Okay? Make it be someone who has done nothing publicly. Not even me. I would be a huge asshole emailing even one of these people who have done voluminous bodies of work on this material to say to them, I think you should do it differently. Imagine that. Then take it 1,000 times worse. The person saying it has no work to show for themselves. Zero work to show for themselves publicly. They're a little quiet fucking church mouse that has never said a fucking thing publicly because they're a coward. Could you imagine? And now put yourself in that position and say you're getting emailed and bombarded. Yeah, guess what? You don't fucking matter. None of you people actually matter. You're not in the fight. You're not on the battlefield. You're a little whimpering fucking child complaining about something you've done nothing about. You're a little whimpering fucking child complaining to others who are generals on the battlefield and you're doing nothing. That's all you are. You're a whimpering asshole. But I'm saying this to my viewing and listening audience. Imagine if you poured your soul and sacrificed what you wanted to do with your life for this amount of years. And it's 2020 and you've been doing this for 15 fucking years. And this is still this is still where their mindset is at. When you've told them over and over again, I don't give a fuck what you think about my work. It's not your business to tell me to do it any different. Do your own work. And then go and reach people how you want to reach. And then guess what? We'll have 10,000 people with 10,000 different approaches. And some of them will work for 10,000 different people. And we'll be reaching more people. But no, they don't want to do that. You just want to hear the bullshit come out. You want to hear liquid diarrhea pour from your fucking gullet. And you want to hear your own shit-filled mouth talk. See, I've been talking for these several weeks, folks, to all the people in ego. All the people out there. And guess what? It's a lot of my viewership. People will say you're insulting your viewership. Yes, I am. Yes, exactly. Most of my viewership is doing exactly squat. They don't know how to do the great work. You don't even know the methodologies. You don't know how to use the technology because you know what you spend your time doing? Yapping at somebody else's work or yapping on social media to a bunch of fucking retards. You're not doing the great work. You're not helping. I want to go back to this slide momentarily, and we are going to go to calls. It might be half the show, but we'll do it. Okay? Because I have a lot to get off my chest. All right? With how I feel every day, this is my catharsis. So it will take as long as it takes. This is one of the only times I start to feel a little bit better by getting it out publicly to the world. I'm not going to get cancer internally by not releasing this rage. And admittedly, you know what, folks, these days I have a rage problem. I can say it and acknowledge it, and it's part of me, and I accept it. But guess what? It's justified rage. And that's another thing. Don't tell me how to deal with my emotions. I know more about psychology and emotional development than most people on the planet. I'll deal with it how I want and work through it how I'm going to work through it. I want to say something about this image, then we'll go to your calls. I want you to imagine all of my years of work. I want you to imagine my level of knowledge in both the understanding of how things work in the world and in the human psychology and in the technical space as well, in the publishing space, in reaching other people's minds, in helping to change minds through external influence of other people. Take all of those qualities of me as an individual, right? And now amplify them and attribute them to every person in a large gathering. I attended satanic rituals where there were upwards of 75 to 100 people in the house. Imagine 100 of me duplicated, and I mean me, Mark Passio. Imagine 100 of me duplicated in one room. Imagine the knowledge, the willpower, the skill sets, and the drive all in one spot, and having total single-mindedness of focus and drive. Imagine that level of power. I'm one person, and look at what I've been able to do with this level of knowledge, technical expertise, and drive and willpower. Take that and amplify it by 100 times in one place, all gathered in one place with single-mindedness of focus and intent. And imagine the kind of damage that could do societally. That is what Satanism has going for it. That is what this network of psychopaths have going for it. And let me tell you something. I said this to my video editor this week. He asked me, what did you think of what was your mindset when you were involved? I said, I have never been in a room where I have felt like I was in a gathering of personal peers. More so. Never felt it before, never felt it since. When I was involved with these Satanists who own and control the world. I felt like I was in a gathering of people who had my level of intelligence, my level of skill sets, or beyond. Some of them had far beyond my skill set level. As knowledgeable and skillful as I am in doing what I do, some of them were far beyond my level of skill set. And guess what? They had just as much focus, intent, willpower, and drive than I do. Except, you know what they're all focused on? The dark great work. Not the one true great work of teaching what truth is, what natural law is, what freedom is, and how we should be manifesting it. No, they're doing the exact opposite. They are doing the dark great work of enslaving and ultimately exterminating humanity. And people want to know why they are winning. This is the reason they are winning. This is the reason that the universe is actually allowing them to win. The universe has respect for courage and will. It has respect for courage and will. We don't have it. We have a little bunch of quiet fucking church mice saying, oh, I'm not going to talk. I might draw attention to myself. You're timid cowards. I don't want to put my real name on it. If I put my real name on it, they're going to know who I am, and they're going to try to come after me. You're a timid coward. You're not doing the great work. You think you are, and in your hubris, you believe that. You're a timid coward with no true will or drive. These people have a focused intent and willpower that they all use as one mind, as they call it, mastermind. The mastermind in Satanism is not one human being. It's a group of human beings, all with the same focus and drive and willpower and skills, all doing the same work together to accomplish the same goal. I hope I am hammering in how powerful these people are, and then other people, these new agers, and this total right brain imbalance go off and go, you're giving them too much credit, Mark. You're trying to say that they're way more powerful than they actually are. No, asshole. You don't know who they are. You weren't there with them. You don't know what their skill sets and willpower are. You have no idea what you're up against. You're a little naive fucking child who wants to believe the world works the way you want it to work, the way you believe it works, and you're wildly inaccurate, son. You're wildly inaccurate, and your ego is in the way of seeing reality as it actually is. That's you. That's your reception problem. It's not my problem in telling it you unapologetically, forcefully, and harshly. That's not my problem because I speak the truth. It's your egoic reception problem, boy. So I'll meet you ego to ego. I'm not going to talk to you like a little fucking baby sitting in a high chair being spoon-fed. Because you're not that. Or actually, you are that, but guess what? You shouldn't be that. Not at this point in your life, and not at this point in what's going on societally in our world. I am here to talk to adults who get the message, and then we'll do something about it. All the rest of you, you are dross. Dross. Vocabulary word of the day, look it up, and that's what you are, most of you. Most of my own viewership. I don't care if I lose viewership down to nobody. I don't care anymore. This is not here to just reach out to the everyday average golem imbecile. You're golem goyim imbeciles. Most of you. I am here to reach out to the quality potential teachers who are going to activate their behavior and do the one great work. In whatever way you want to do it, and you do it your way, and I'm not going to tell you that you can't do it your way. Just don't tell me I can't do it mine. And we'll be out of each other's way, and we'll both be doing the great work, and then we will reach different kinds of people. Different strokes for different folks. Folks, understand what that means. If I had a whole community of people actually doing the great work, we'd be making some headway and progress. And folks, that's what the One Great Network is going to be about. And just to clear that up, a lot of people have a false understanding of what the One Great Network is going to be. It will be a by invitation only. Let me just even rephrase that. It will be a by my invitation only. The One Great Network will not be open. It will be open. The content will be open to the public, but the publishers or hosts who are invited to join the network will be by my invitation only. This is not going to be a public work. Understand this, folks. Okay? Maybe I haven't described it effectively enough. And guess what? We're well into building it now. And guess what? I want to thank my web development team publicly. Okay? You guys are doing awesome work. You're actively now engaged in the One Great Work, okay? And I could tell, I want to say it publicly for everybody hearing it out there because you deserve the thanks and gratitude. You are taking it very seriously, okay? I very much appreciate that. You guys are knowledgeable and skillful, and now you are lending that expertise toward the One Great Work. And I very much appreciate what you guys are doing to help me launch this network. Thank you. Thank you. I consider you my peers in this effort. Thank you. I have very few. Okay? So I want to say that publicly so people acknowledge we now have a web development team thanks to people who responded to our call for help. That's why we don't have to make this whole show on any kind of a paywall to pay for that. Our asking of assistance finally came through, and I'm so grateful. Like, my voice is shaking. It chokes me up. It was so needed. I was really drowning. Okay. And to a certain extent, I still am emotionally. All right. So people don't know what I've been through recently, and most people have no compassion for it at all. And they just want to hound and hound and hound and hound. I'm human. I'm flawed. I'm not perfect. I feel things. I'm not an emotional stoic robot. I will deal with that and work through it. I will not ignore it. Nor will I bury it deep down inside and cause physiological illnesses. No one will demand that of me. Okay, so I think it's important to acknowledge when people are really doing great work. The setup crew, the production crew here, thank you guys. I would not be able to do this alone. All the people who are helping on the documentary, thank you so much. You guys are doing a great job. I know I get cranky when technical problems happen and we have debates and arguments, but thank you guys for persistence. You are, if nothing else, my crew is persistent. They will battle to get it done. I can see their will and their care in that persistence, so thank you. And I don't even say that enough to them. So, that being said, let me start switching over. Let's go back to the slides briefly. Yep. If you want to pick up any hard copies of my work, t-shirts, etc., promotional items, go to gifts.whatonearthishappening.com. We have new t-shirts in, men and women's. We have flash drives, DVDs. We're going to have new coasters in soon. We've been sold out of coasters for a while. We're working with somebody to make some high-quality wooden coasters in sets. It's going to be great when it's finished. We're going to be working on that this week. We have keychains, buttons, stickers, founders items. That's my punk band. All of that at gifts.whatonearthishappening.com. You can go to the ARC page. This is a offer of information. This is research material that I have amassed over the years that helped me to come to the understanding and conclusions that informs all of my work. You can get the ARC through the shipping instructions. You can receive them by going to whatonearthishappening.com/ARC or clicking the ARC tab on the website, and you can fill out the form there to get the shipping instructions. Also, if you want to make a straight donation, not a donation to complete the documentary, but just a straight donation to the cause, we have 11 different donation methods on the site, a ton of cryptocurrencies, PayPal, Venmo, etc. You could also donate supplies from our wish list. Okay, our wish list is on that button on the right. There's technology supplies listed there when we require them. I want to say thank you to everyone who's been donating, and thank you to people especially who have been donating from the wish list. Folks, I've put a few wish list items on there of items we've needed to continue doing this work. Everybody has picked up every one. I mean, that's humbling. It really is. Like, it's incredibly humbling to me that people care about the efforts that we make here to that extent that we have no items listed there right now. But occasionally I will post items. So if you want to make a donation that you know what it's going to, and there needs to be no question on what it will be spent for, make a donation, a technology donation through there. So thank you to people who have done that. When I see those items, sent here and there's nothing left on that site, we have what we require to continue this effort. It's extraordinarily humbling. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. All right, that's all the slides. Let's jump out of the presentation software, and I'm going to go over to Discord. All right. Let me get my headset on so we could start taking calls. Okay. We're all set for questions and clarifications. So let's go to, if I can find the individual here. Let's go to Leslie from Canada. You are live on What on Earth is Happening, episode 232. Welcome, Leslie.
Oh, thank you very much, Mark. Can you hear me?
Absolutely. You're coming through loud and clear.
Oh, thank goodness I got through. I'm so sorry to hear about your loss, too. I really feel for you there. So
thank you.
You're welcome. I started working on, as you were talking about, these pig pedophiles. They're just unbelievable what they do to children. And I started working on a book in 2015. I watched a lot of Michael Tessarian and you. Mm-hmm. So I was doing the book, and then strange things started happening. And as you say, I lost the courage. Like, I had Epstein in there. I had the Queen in there. I did the whole, figured out the network that they have across the world. Mm-hmm. And then I lost, some things started happening. And as you say, I lost the courage to do it because I got scared because so many people were getting murdered.
Right. Well, hey, this is what happens. People start going down the rabbit hole and realizing what a dark world we actually live in. And a lot of them don't have the courage to continue. Some people, it makes them so, destroyed emotionally or mentally because they don't have the internal strength, like shields that need to go up. Like, in Star Trek, they put the shields around the ship where the internal component of their being gets hammered so hard by this truth that the shields go down and then they just start taking a beating. They don't have the emotional strength to deal with the reality of our world as it actually is. And it's sad. Yeah. And I have to also look at it as you got to have compassion for people like that because it's traumatic. We are talking about accepting that the world is a traumatic world. It does trauma to a lot of different people. We're all affected by that trauma, but then we have to become emotional adults who are going to deal with and go through that trauma. I'm dealing with the fact of not only am I dealing with trauma, but I'm dealing with totally incompassionate people that want to hammer on, that I should somehow do something the way they want when they have no say over what goes on here at What on Earth is Happening. This isn't a public open source project, folks. This What on Earth is Happening belongs to Mark Passio. Okay? The information doesn't belong to Mark Passio. Let's clearly make the distinguishment. Okay? Clearly make the delineation in understanding. What on Earth is Happening is my outreach effort. I own it singularly. No one else owns What on Earth is Happening but me. That is my property. Okay? The truth and natural law is owned by no one. Okay? The truth about how creation works, how the laws of nature work, that is just is. Okay? So I don't own that. Okay? So you can say if somebody is not teaching what is true, that's not true because it's objective. But no one has the right to tell me how to run What on Earth is Happening because it's not their property. You can even make suggestions. You can't make ultimatums. But I have already told people I really don't want anybody's suggestion on how to run What on Earth is Happening. I'm unconcerned and uninterested in what you think about what on earth is happening. I don't want constructive criticism on my operation, quite frankly. I am going to do it how I want to do it. I am not here to tell you how to do the great work, and I don't expect any of you to tell me how to do the great work. That's called mutual respect for a peer. I would no more call Jordan Maxwell and go, Jordan, I don't like the way you're talking about this. Could you imagine my just total gall, the gall that it would take? And I've put considerable work out. But could you imagine the gall of me disrespecting someone like Jordan Maxwell? I don't care what anybody thinks of Jordan. It doesn't even, quite frankly, matter what I think of him or he thinks of me. It is unmitigated gall and hubris to go to someone who has given up their lives. Jordan Maxwell, regardless of what you think of the man, has given up his life to bring a lot of this material forward into the public domain for understanding. Could you imagine if even someone like me, who has done a considerable amount of that great work, would say, Jordan, I don't like the way you're doing your work. Do it differently. I think it'll be more effective if you do it this way, like I say. Could you imagine what an asshole I would have to be to approach someone like Jordan Maxwell and do that? But that's what I deal with every day. And I don't think people see it. They don't understand how maddening it is. And it's very easy for people who aren't doing this work to say, just ignore those people. No, you don't understand. That's part of the mind control they are under. They've been taught that that's acceptable, perfectly acceptable behavior, and that they're not being an asshole for doing that. They think they're helping. Don't tell me how to do my work. Do your own work. You will reach more people. It won't be just Mark Passio. What makes you think you should just leave it to me to do? That's what I've asked people from the beginning. If you think you have a handle and an understanding on it, how about getting up off your lazy, cowardly ass and getting up and doing the work for yourself? And it's called learning how to do it. There are methodologies for doing this the right way. It's called learning modern communications technology and modern publishing technology. Whether you like it or not, that is the way you reach people in the modern world. It doesn't matter whether you like it or accept it. You don't have to. That's the way the world is. It's called engaging the world on the terms that the world is. That's called stop dreaming. That's the second part of initiation. Stop lying to yourself and stop dreaming. Stop imagining the world is some other way and it is the way you want it to be right now. No. The world is the way it is. You have to engage on the terms of the war as it is. So I'm sorry,
Yes,
Leslie,
and
continue.
I'm sorry for interrupting. That's exactly it, because I've published 11 books. I've done documentaries. I've had scholarships for my work. I've been funded by the National Film Board. So I know how to do this. Now, my book, I had a bunch of links in my book because, of course, I want to do it. And I see that, like you say, I tell people, do you know that the Queen stole 10 children from a residential school in Kamloops, which is the province beside me? And they look at me like I'm crazy. Well, Leslie, don't bother with that. This world's like, they get glazed over, right? They
really believe that ignorance of all the negativity that is happening in the world equates to bliss. They think they believe that the world is going to change through this new age process that I'm going to describe. They believe that if we ignore all the evil in the world, that the evil will magically go away from the world. They actually believe that is how reality works. Could you imagine that that's the number that the satanic New Age movement did upon their minds? They're not learning natural law. Leslie, I have been around the New Age community so many hours of my life that it is almost incalculable how long I have spent time around them in their presence. I have never heard one single solitary soul in the entirety of what we would refer to as the New Age community or surrounded by the New Age teachings ever speak the term natural law. Not even once.
No.
And
no.
someone said to me once, who was a New Ager at a conference, and I said, we have to engage the world as it truly is, and that means acknowledging the horrid evil that is actually built up all around us. And she said, I choose not to believe in that reality. And I said, no, you choose not to accept that reality, and you think you're going to change the world for the better in pure ignorance of that reality. And this individual could not hear those words from me because they're still so deep in ego and believe that they're in a spiritual state of mind and out of that level of ego.
Yes, well, like I tell them, I said, you're going to allow children to be raped? What kind of people are we if we're going to let our children be raped and murdered and satanically sacrificed by these pigs and bastards, these satanic cults? And they just look at me like, well, there's karma, Leslie. And I'm like, I just can't believe it. You made me sick.
You know what they're saying by doing that? This is commentary, but it's excellent clarification commentary. Because do you know what they're saying by saying, let God handle it, right? They're saying that what we do here doesn't matter. That's ultimately what they're saying. That's a form of total religiosity. That is a form of a wildly inaccurate belief system. They are saying that we can let the universe just handle that on the back end, right? No, the world changes as we will for it to change because creation's will is ultimately our will and put into action. And if we don't have that will to change the world for the better, it does not magically change because the Creator doesn't directly get involved. The Creator has given us the free will to involve ourselves, to learn what the truth is and then engage in right action. That is up to us, and what we do with our free will matters here in the 3D space. So
it does. Yep. And now that Jeffrey Epstein and all those guys are out, like I have Jimmy Savile in the book too, but I did a really good job at linking it. But all the links that I had for my, bibliography and my proof and everything have been deleted from YouTube. And of course I don't use Facebook. So now I'm thinking, how good is the book going to be? And then with Amazon, they're deleting everything.
And so folks, let me just unequivocally say, we're almost at the point where it's going to have to become a physical war. We're very, very closely approaching the point where, in America, where it can still occur, weapons are going to have to be taken out at some point in the near future. And I'm going to publicly say it. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. At some point, we are going to need a new kinetic, hot revolution to even give the world the chance to get it right next time around. That is coming. That time is coming. Okay?
It's our last stand.
That's it.
I mean, it's
once they start censoring information, they are going to make the reception of truth impossible. You could say, let's build new platforms, let's make it impossible to censor, but guess what? Then you're marginalizing the information down to a very few people who are going to understand even how to use that type of technology. Once the internet turns into an entire platform of censorship, it will become time to take out the physical weapons and deal with this. And guess what? I'll say that to a cop. I'll say that to a judge. I'll say that to an FBI agent. I'll say that to the president of the fucking United States. The human species is going to have to physically rebel against tyranny that was done to create this country. And it will be need to be done again to spread the message of freedom to this country once again, this land once again, and the people living on it, and to the rest of the world. And if you don't think that a hot revolution is soon going to be necessary based on what is taking place right now in our world, again, you're a naive child. And you want the world to work the way you want it to work instead of the way it actually works. And it doesn't work that way. At some point, you need to acknowledge if it continues to descend into tyranny, we are going to have to physically fight them at some point, regardless of how much blood or lives that costs.
And I think we're going to get them on the pedophilia. It's got to be hammered out there. These are child rapists.
Yeah.
They're killing children. They're sacrificing children. their blood, they're drinking their blood. Like, let's get real.
Right.
Now, if we don't stick up for our children, we don't deserve to be humans. We might as well lose it
And
if
Leslie,
we can't stick up for our kids.
That's right. And Leslie, look at what Trump just recently said, and people are looking to this person as somebody doing something. He just gave Ghislaine Maxwell, he wished her well. It's not a sarcastic wishing of well. He actually said he thought she was an okay human being, in paraphrasing, and wished her well in her ordeal. I mean, imagine this. This is the girlfriend of a known pedophile. It's not just a known pedophile, someone running a pedophile ring.
A worldwide pedophile.
For the elites of the world.
For the elites. And you know what I wondered is he got muzzled lately. Like, I'd never seen him with a mask on. He got muzzled. I wonder if
they got to him behind the scenes, or he was always with them, or he may have been always with them. That's why I don't put my faith in anybody in public office, and never have. This guy did a total 180. He's done nothing about the tyranny of all the governors that are going on in almost every state in the United States. This country is in total fascist and communist tyranny. And you could argue those things are somehow different. They're the same in their ultimate implementation of total slavery. And anybody that still thinks fascism and communism are radically different, again, you're a naive child that doesn't understand the left wing and the right wing are dialectical wings on the same bird of total ravenous devourment. That is what those two wings are, the left wing and right wing. They are on the same huge demonic bird of prey coming to devour everyone. They're not radically different.
And they're going to both have the boots on our necks.
Yep.
I mean, the masks, people are policing. They got us policing each other now with these masks. And that's satanic too, isn't it, Mark?
Over something they cannot prove. They cannot prove that alleged viruses are transmissible. Find me the proof. You will not be able to do it. As a matter of fact, there are tons of peer-reviewed studies in tons of journals that show they have attempted to infect people, and I will continue to say it, and I'm going to show the science. I will show you the science. You can go to PubMed articles right now that show that infectivity cannot be transmitted with even this SARS-CoV-2 virus, alleged virus. Okay? I'm not talking allegedly that it exists, of what its nature is. Again, the alleged nature of viruses are not what the mainstream media and mainstream science say that they are. You can censor me from now till the end of time, you rat fascists out there, but you will never make that statement untrue scientifically. It isn't settled science. You are wrong. You are incorrect. And you are morally wrong by censoring and saying that everybody has to believe your incorrectness. You are immoral for doing so. You are a censor and a fascist for having done so because you are incorrect regarding the source material. And it is not a matter of who to believe. You can determine the truth of that by studying the science. And there is tons and tons of scientific evidence to show definitively that viruses do not propagate among human beings the way flawed scientific experimentation has suggested that they propagate in the past. There is new and emerging scientific evidence to show we cannot transmit the infectivity of so-called viruses the way we think that they transmit person to person. It is the truth of the matter is it is dictated by terrain theory of toxicity in the environment. And it is an exosomal reaction inside of the body. You can choose not to believe that, but you are incorrect if you choose to believe the opposite of that. It is scientifically provable, and most people are not privy to the science because they are believing what is published on mainstream media who are lying to people instead of actually doing the trivium work of studying that scientific evidence for oneself and coming to an accurate conclusion regarding the observational data.
Yes, and can I ask you about how satanic it is to put masks on us all?
It's a slavery muzzle. It's a slavery muzzle. It's a cult mockery. It is occult satanic mockery, because these people know that this doesn't cause the type of health problem that the mass media has suggested that it does. I'm not saying that it's not a problem or will not, there is no illness and there is absolutely nothing to be concerned about. Okay, what I am saying is it doesn't transmit to healthy people the way the media and mainstream science has suggested that it does. That is overblown, and the numbers are overblown. They just recalculated it as public domain knowledge. They recalculated the figures in Florida and came to a determination that 89% of the figures were overblown regarding even infection. I personally know. And again, all you censors out there, you want to call me a liar to my face, come and do it in person to my face. I personally know human beings who sent in COVID test kits that never touched any part of their anatomy, and then they came back positive. How does that happen? They sent them in blank, telling people that they swabbed when they did not, and they came back positive for COVID-19 infection. Explain that one to me. Either they're outright lying, or the test kit itself was deliberately infected with whatever this thing is. And all you trash out there in Vimeo and YouTube and Twitter and Google and Apple and wherever else all you other immoral pieces of Nazi dirt are at. Okay? You won't look at that evidence because your parents fucked you up, little boys and little girls, and your little rat censor Nazis. You've been fucked up by wrong information and by your parents and your teachers and your schools, and you think you know, and you're a rat piece of dirty, rotten, fucking immoral trash whose parents and other fucking teachers fucked you up. And I'll say it like that right to your face. Come see me in person, and I'll say it right to your face because that's the truth. And you want to call that an ad hominem attack, you go right ahead and call it whatever you want. It's true nonetheless. So, Leslie, thank you so much for your call.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, I wish you the luck. I thank you for starting to do the great work through publishing, and I wish you the courage to come out openly and speak this information and testify to the truth of what is taking place in our world without fear and with courage. So thank you so much.
I think I'll do it on video instead of the book. So you've helped me with that.
Excellent.
So thank you so much, Mark.
Excellent. You could put a title card. You don't have to go on camera. Put a title card and, narrate, or just put. I've done many videos where I'm not on it. I'm not in it. Like some of my works with Tesla, I just have the slides going and I talk in the background, and that largely happened because our video was messed up. We didn't get good video footage, but sometimes that happens. You don't have to go on video. Speak with your voice. You know what I mean? And just say what you know to be true. And
maybe
the
do
courage
every
will come.
chapter. Yeah, do every chapter, like a thing on every chapter I've written, and then start from there.
Right.
So there's small little bits.
That's right.
It's not the whole book. So
you don't have to do it all at once. Look at how long I've distributed my work over many, many years. So you do what you can and do it courageously. Leslie, thank you so much.
You're wonderful, Mark. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
All right. Let's go to someone who's been, I think, waiting in here the longest. Trying to get to people who we haven't heard from and who've been waiting in here a long time. Let's go to Luca. Luca, you're live on What on Earth is Happening. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Mark, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Loud and clear.
Perfectly. No, actually, I was trying to call in the last time, but I had some technical difficulties. So yeah, you couldn't hear me.
No problem. Well,
yeah,
you've made it through.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm calling in from Germany. Living near the Cologne area, and yeah, very, very, very good to be on your show. I'm a avid student of your work.
Thank you.
And yeah, it's awesome. Well, I was my question is, you said that in America there will actually be a situation where it might very probably come to a physical war. I have to say here in Germany, I think we'll be there definitely, because the restrictions here are much tougher than I think in the United States. And I was actually want to ask you, like, do you have any like practical advice on how to like psychologically and spiritually prepare for this?
Yeah, I do. And
situation
it's not
where-
going to be something that anybody wants to hear. You better go online into some dark websites and look for footage of real war and look at what it does to the human anatomy.
Yeah.
And then you'll start to psychologically harden yourself, you know? I've watched quite a bit of stuff like that. I don't really subject myself much to it anymore because it'll change you. But guess what? Most of us will be seeing things like that in our lifetime, sadly. And it's all because we failed to teach and apply the principles of natural law, as I have trying to help people to understand and help emphasize the importance of teaching since day one on What on Earth is Happening. And I have to say, sadly, our community has failed at it largely. It may not be completely failed permanently, or it may not be not capable of resurrecting the effort. But where it stands right now is our community is an abject failure. And I don't care who that offends. I do not care who it offends. Take as much offense as you want. Get offended as much as you like. Okay? The bottom line is the call to do the great work and teach natural law has not been heeded in enough numbers. So when that call falls upon deaf ears or apathetic ears or cowardly ears, and people do not engage in that spiritual battle and effort, what invariably will follow is a physical confrontation and or culling. Every single time, by law of the universe in the natural domain. It is an inevitable law that can never be changed. Either you change it in consciousness or horrific physical results manifest. For those who don't understand that, you better start to learn it and start to understand how it works in nature and in law of creation, in law of the universe. Because I'm telling you, this is what we as potential teachers have completely failed at. I think I've done a phenomenal job, personally. I would give myself an A+++++ compared to others. If some other people form an incredible resolve and start doing it even better than me, I'll downgrade my A 8 triple plus rating, okay? But guess what? You think that's hubris? It's not. I've done it better than just about any other living human being has done it in modern times. As a matter of fact, I would go so far to say, and it's not bragging, and it's not undue hubris, that I, as an individual, have made the term natural law more aware in most people's minds in the world than any other living modern human being. I have done that.
Yes, definitely.
So,
sorry for interrupting you, because I can definitely confirm it, because I mean, I'm living on a different continent, and I know the term natural law, and also know a few people who studied your work, and we talk about it, and I mean, that alone, I think that speaks for itself. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if I study other teachers of natural law, so, you know, I don't just hear myself in an echo chamber. If people think that or believe that, that's not how I study, okay? I go out and research things deeply. I go out and put the work in to gauge, are other people teaching this? And I look at their work. And very few people, I would say, are doing this in any kind of a way that's effective. A lot of people don't have good visual aids. Some people do, and they're very aesthetic and can explain it. But I'd say if I really had to put all of the people who are teaching this together and doing it well, I could count them on less than 10 fingers. It's less than 10 human souls worldwide out of 7.5 billion souls worldwide. Do you think that that's going to be effective and get the message out to where it needs to go before tragedy results? We're already in tragedy as a species. You know, tragedy has already struck. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And it's going to be more and more and more uncomfortable to be alive. That's where we're at as a species. And it is because the call for doing the great work has not been heeded. And it doesn't matter whether I called for it, whether somebody else called for it who understands how this dynamic works, okay? Most people aren't doing it. That's the sad fact of the matter. That cannot be challenged. Most of the world isn't doing it. I naively thought by this point there would be well over 1 million teachers worldwide of natural law. Do you know how naive and simpleton-minded and utterly childish that was to think? I have to come back on the air after thinking that when I began What on Earth is Happening, that I was going to be able to influence 1 million people to do this work. I have to childishly and naively apologize to myself and everyone else and say I was a complete imbecile for thinking that. I really didn't know how black-hearted humanity was in their mind and in their soul. I really didn't understand. I had a way overly optimistic view of human beings and where their consciousness was at. I didn't know how deep into Satanism it had descended. I didn't know how deep into black-hearted ignorance and total lack of compassion for others it had descended. I didn't know how deeply it had descended into total egotism and Satanism. But that is where the human mind collectively is at. We are Satanists as a whole species of people. The mass adoption, the religion that has been largely mass adopted by the human species is de facto Satanism. And if you really look up what that term means, you can look it up from the Church of Satan's own writings and other satanic groups. De facto Satanism means people who practice the ideology of Satanism without even knowing that it is the ideology of Satanism. That is what a de facto Satanist is. A Satanist in deeds, in their behavior, that they live and think and behave in satanic mindset and do not even know what Satanism really is. They have this bullshit Hollywood definition of what Satanism is. They do not know what the actual ideology of Satanism is, what it practices, what it condones, and they have their mind ensconced in that ideology and don't even consciously know it. And therefore their behaviors are of the satanic ideology, yet they don't consciously realize it. That's called de facto Satanism, and it is the biggest worldwide religion.
Yep, definitely. I mean, I have Satanists in my own family. Sometimes I bring up these topics, and I bring it, for example, to my auntie, and she said, "Well, I don't really care about this. I only want to focus on my own life."
That's it. That's Satanism.
I
don't care the suffering that's going on in the world. I only give a shit about what happens to me and mine. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the definition of Satanism. I was a priest in this religion, a clergy of this religion, which is an officially recognized religion in the United States Charter of Religious Beliefs. Let me say that again. I am still to this day clergy. The Church of Satan never revoked my membership because my membership was actually under a pen name, an assumed name, Mark Rokar. I am Reverend Mark Rokar of the Church of Satan still to this day. They can look me up in their official records and excommunicate me if they wish. I never wrote to the Church of Satan and said, I, Mark Rokar, am no longer in a satanic mindset. Please officially excommunicate me from the Church of Satan. I just stopped communication with them. If they look in their own records, they will still see a Reverend Mark Rokar, and I will spell it R-H-O-C-H-A-R. That is how it is spelled. It is not R-O or R-H-O-C-A. Here's how it's spelled. R-H-O-C-H-A-R. I could be even wrong about that. I haven't even used it. It might not be the H at the end. R-H-O-C-A-R maybe. I have to look on. As a matter of fact, do me a favor, my producer, please. I'm going to do this as a nicety. Please move that arrangement there. Go into the wardrobe on the other side of the room. I know I'm breaking your balls. I know it's a pain in the ass with the setup here. Leave the camera right there. Go into the back of it. You might have better luck getting in through the other side because that door opens outward. Okay? All right? And I'm going to ask you to bring me the black bag with the handles on it, not not the faux leather bag. It is a cloth black bag with 2 handles that might be connected with Velcro. Okay? You'll see it as you open it. It'll be next to the other bag. I have like a hemp bag in there. I have a black faux leather bag in there. And I have a cloth bag. Please hand me the cloth bag. I'm going right now to show you my membership information of the Church of Satan publicly on the airwaves, into the camera with absolutely zero. That's it. Thank you. Please hand me that. I've never done this on air before, but I'm going to do it right now. Thank you. Give me a minute and I'll grab it. All right, here it is. Here's part of it. I want to keep most of this private because there's other stuff in here, so just give me a minute. Right, those 2. And I got the spelling was CH. Okay, hold on, let me get that. There's that. All right. So let's put this to fucking rest once and for all the naysayers who want to say, oh, he's not in the Church of Satan. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I'm going to bring people to corroborate it personally on the air as a guest. Here, take this from me now. Thank you. Here it is, folks. I'm going to show you 3 things. 1, this is my official membership card. Let's go into there. My official membership card from the Church of Satan. I had it laminated back then. Okay? And there you see, if you can see the signature, Mark Rochar. R-H-O-C-H-A-R. Okay? Which way would I have to put it to bring it into focus? Back toward me? It's still going to be difficult to see with the lamination. Let's put it on this one and see if there's any better luck with the clarity. Okay? Here it is. Official Church of Satan membership card from the 1990s. It's not in focus. And I signed it at the bottom. Hold on. I'll take a picture of it on my desk right now. Hold on. I'll take a picture of it on my desk right now. I think this is actually worth doing. Okay? While it does cut into the calls, this is something I've wanted to do for a while, and we've talked a lot about Satanism on this show. So let's do this. In real time, I will show you this. Hold on. I'm going to take a picture right leaning on my table so nobody can say this wasn't done in real time. All right, there it is on the edge. I'm going to send that to my computer. Give me a moment. Let's send that by itself. Guess what? I think it's very interesting to do something like this on the airwaves, folks. And caller, you can continue to bring up other things if you want, but I'm just going to do this live on the airwaves. This way, it starts to put this nonsense to rest once and for all. Okay? So, we were talking about de facto Satanists, people who haven't actually been involved, who think that they know what it is, and they say, I don't care about what, other people are going through. Okay? I don't care about that this suffering is taking place all over the place. And you see this in your own family is what you're saying. Taking a picture of that.
Yes. Unfortunately, my own father, I sometimes, basically every weekend when I'm visiting them, I bring up these topics, I'm trying to wake them up. And he said, well, what kind of benefit do you get from this kind of knowledge? Does it make you... can you make a living out of it? And
what kind of benefit do you get from any knowledge? What kind of knowledge is not worth having or pursuing? Totally trivial things you could say, oh, well, that's not really going to give you a benefit. This is philosophy of how the world works, how the world is being run, how we could become free instead of remaining slaves. Say that to them. You're a slave. I'm a slave. How this will benefit us is we will actually be able to engage unrestricted in our natural rights and no longer be slaves. Who hates themselves so much that they say, I want to continue to be a slave? Imagine. I don't care whether I'm a slave or if that condition continues. Think about how much you have to hate yourself.
Yeah, and it's really frustrating to see it in your own family. I think that's the most frustrating thing of it all. If it's
Folks,
random people on the street, that's that's also very painful.
But then when it's your own family, it really cuts to the quick. It hurts your heart. I know.
Yeah.
I'm going to show this one on the camera. Okay, so you see it's a physical item in the room. Here's Anton LaVey's seal right here. It says, from the office of Anton Sander LaVey, be it known on the day March 19th, year 32, Mark Rokar has been appointed to the office of priest of the Church of Satan and is empowered to act in that capacity, signed in marker Anton Sander LaVey. There it is, right there. I'm holding the fucking document in my hand, assholes. Okay? All right? This is the document. Okay? And when I was younger, I got really mad at myself because I spilled some liquid on this, and this was my pride and joy back then. And there's an actual stain that I put on the document myself accidentally. This is the letter that came with the appointment, and I'll show you this up close. This is on Church of Satan letterhead, okay? It is the next day, 20 March 32 AS, which is Anno Satanas, the year of Satan, okay? Addressed to Mark Rokar at my former public address, okay? On their letterhead from their post office box in San Francisco, California, and the letter was written to me, Dear Mr. Rokar, and it's signed Hail Satan Blanche Barton, who is Anton LaVey. I understand, but I don't live there anymore, okay? But the whole point is, that was my former address. This is still on their records, and guess what? For a lot of people don't know this. I'm still official listed clergy of the Church of Satan. Publicly, I'm telling you that right on the air. I never was officially excommunicated from this religious organization. So if they look me up in their records, they will see Mark Rokar, Reverend Mark Rokar. That is me, Mark Passio, satanic fucking assholes. Okay? You let this one get away. Okay? And you want to say, but Satanism isn't what the Church of Satan says that it is. The Church of Satan is small fry potatoes in the big satanic hierarchical network. It's one little tiny little networked group that they pull people up and groom them into higher levels of the hierarchy. The Church of Satan is not the totality of Satanism. This is how they'll answer the question and try to pretend like there's no other form of Satanism other than us. Bullshit. Okay? Tons of members of the Church of Satan were at the rituals that I described. I wouldn't even say tons. I would say there were several members that were affiliated with other groups. That ritual that I'm talking about was not an official grotto of the Church of Satan that I described earlier. It was a ritual that had membership of people who were at all different pecking levels of the pecking order of the worldwide satanic hierarchy. Not just the Church of Satan. So I'm going to put these images directly into the slide show right now. I could do this myself, Mike. I got it. Thank you if you were going to help. But it's easy enough for me. They didn't come through. I need to somehow sync here. They're not. Let me see if I could quit this and relaunch it. They didn't sync properly, but I'm going to bring this up. If caller, if you have any other comments or questions, go ahead. But I'm going to take a moment to fix this and actually get it up on my screen. So go ahead.
Sure. Well, I think we talked about when it will actually escalate into like a hot physical war. I think actually this will happen when the vaccine will become mandatory. And I mean, I don't think that there will be a situation where they will go from door to door, and if you don't get the vaccine, they will put you into jail. But I think it will be more like that if you don't have the vaccine, you won't be able to move freely, you won't be able to travel, you might not be able to work, you might not even be able to go to the supermarket, who knows? And I think this is actually the situation where people really have to rebel because,
I figured out the technical problem I was having. My phone was in airplane mode to silence it during the show. I've taken it out. I have wireless back, and I'm seeing it sync. So this only take one more second. 2 of the 3 synced. 3 of the 3 have synced. It's still in silent mode, so that's fine. Here we go. So let me clean this up. All right, here we go. So let me go back into my slideshow, and I will tack these on to the end of the slideshow. This will just take a second. Don't go live to the computer yet. And hey, folks, I know this could seem somewhat unprofessional doing it this way, but guess what? It came up, and I'm going to do things live. This is what this format was for. This is what this very format was actually geared toward doing. Okay, so let's make this nice and big and fill up the whole damn screen with it. Excellent. Let's duplicate that. Bring in the other one. I have 2 more to bring in. And you'll see these are right on my desk. You'll see my computer in the background of them. I'll leave a little bit of that. Center that and do the third one. This is the actual appointment. Well, the appointment's going to be second. And then I'll show you the letter last. I'll show you my membership card, the appointment, and the letter that came with the appointment of priesthood. Here we go. And this is right on my desk. I just took these shots and sent them to the computer. Here we go. Put it live. Okay, there is my membership card from the Church of Satan. It says Sander LaVey, founder and high priest. Okay, and then typed in Mark Rochar, R-H-O-C-H-A-R. It is the name of a demon from the book known as the Pistis Sophia, or the Faith Wisdom of the Gnostic tradition. Rochar was a cat demon in one of the torture chambers of hell as described by Jesus in the Pistis Sophia, who tortured certain types of, quote, sinners. Okay, it says underneath that, citizen of the infernal empire, then signature of bearer, Mark Rochar. This was membership card 100,261, which I'm assuming means that is how many memberships they gave out at that point. So you could see it's much larger than that now. And that's how I used to sign my name in almost Palmer method, penmanship. I no longer really write like that. And I had an inverted cross in the bottom of the M, because this is obviously, Catholic grade school Palmer handwriting method, which is no longer basically taught almost anywhere. But you could clearly see that's what it is. Okay? Here's my appointment.
Anton,
yeah, go ahead.
Anton LaVey personally
appointed me as a priest. I did not ask for the appointment, ladies and gentlemen. I did not beg LaVey to appoint me priest. He did it on his own because he realized how good of a representative I was at the time of the satanic ideology and how much I was pushing the satanic ideology publicly at the time. He found me and appointed me to priesthood within his organization. And that, let me make it very clear. Priest is the lowest rank of any ranking. There's regular member, and above that, there is priest. There are a couple of additional members above that, including magister and then high priest. Magister is an intermediary priest or an administrative priest. I was not a magister. I certainly wasn't a high priest because there is only one of them in the Church of Satan. And then I believe they have something called a Council of Nine, which is like their council of, people who advise the high priest. Okay. But I was nowhere near up in the higher levels of the hierarchy of the Church of Satan and have never claimed to be. Okay. I was the rank above regular member. He made me a priest, which empowered me to act in the capacity of grotto leader, meaning coven leader. Okay, whatever you want to call, local chapter leader. I was empowered to do all of the functions that the clergy of this organization is empowered to do. And that means I could legally marry people. I still can legally marry people if they want to have a satanic wedding. I can legally baptize people into the religion known as Satanism if I were to be so inclined to do so legally, according to the official United States Charter of officially recognized religious beliefs. And Satanism is one of them. So I never wrote to these people to say, I no longer agree with your ideology. Take me off of your membership ranks. So this is probably news to them. Okay? And they've answered all people who say, do you know who Mark Passio is? No, they don't. They don't have a Mark Passio in their rankings, in their listings. But if they look up Mark Rochar, they sure as damn have him, and that's who I am. Okay? I'm no longer Mark Rokar in my mindset, in my spirituality, and in my knowledge level, in how I look at the world. I'm a completely different being. But Mark Passio and Mark Rokar are the same physical person in life. Okay? So here's my appointment, and it's right on my desk. You could see my MacBook sitting right here in the background, the MacBook Air on the left and my MacBook Pro on the right. From the office of Anton Sander LaVey. I'm going to mute up real quick. Let me switch to Discord and mute. Hold on one second. Mike, just remind me. I got him. I forgot the caller's name. All right. Let me go back to the presentation. Go ahead. All right. Yeah, let's bring that back up. Okay, this is my actual appointment to priesthood. This is a phone photo that I just took on my desk in front of me. There's no editing, nothing. From the office of Anton Sander LaVey, there is his official seal with the, might be a little bit difficult to make out at the top. If I enhance the contrast, let me do that right in real time. You'll be able to see it better. I'll enhance the contrast, go to format, and then image, and let's blow up the sharpness. You'll be able to see the pentagram come out. Let me turn up the shadows. And I'll lower the exposure a little and denoise it. That's about as good as that's going to get, okay? Is that okay? All right. That's about as good as that's going to show that pentagram up top. That's LaVey's pressed seal at the top of the inverted pentagram with the lightning bolt, which represents the Kabbalistic thunderstruck tree, the lightning bolt that he used. He had this actually made as a necklace for himself when he was alive. And it says, "Be it known on this day, March 19th, 32, that counts from the year 1966 as year one." So what would that make it? That would make it 97. He appointed me in 97 to a priesthood. I was already a Satanist before this, okay? So they could look me up in their registry, and I probably joined back in 95 or so, maybe 96. He appointed me to priest in 97. And I think he died later that year, if I'm not mistaken. Mark Rokar has been appointed to the office of priest of the Church of Satan and is empowered to act in that capacity, signed in marker by hand, Anton Sander LaVey. That's his actual signature. He wrote it on the paper. It's not a stamp. Okay? Next, the letterhead from the Church of Satan, okay, with Blanche Barton's signature. Mr. Mark Rokar, dear Mark Rokar, Dr. LaVey has been favorably impressed with the skill and mastery you have shown in various opportunities to represent the Church of Satan and Satanism in general. You have proven yourself to be magically and materially adept. Therefore, he felt it was high time you were granted the title of priest in recognition of your dedication, knowledge, and ability. Congratulations, Reverend Rokar. Please keep us abreast of your activities, interviews, and musical releases, which is one of the ways he became aware of my existence, because I was in a signed musical band that espoused the satanic ideology, a death metal band called Insanity, which was signed to Unisound Records in Greece. We were picked up by a European label that put out a lot of death metal and black metal at the time. I was in a signed band, and we released a full-length album that was released on Digipack from Unisound Records. It was called Divine Decomposition, from Insanity. And that's how he became aware of me. And then I wrote for fanzines, which was a big way of, reviewing bands and putting articles out there, or getting in touch with like-minded people. They're called fan magazines, fanzines for short. It was a big thing in the 80s and 90s, okay? Younger people don't know what that is. Some older people, or middle-aged people, I should say, will know fanzines and probably be very familiar with them from back in the 80s and 90s, okay? And then it says, "May the fires of hell continue to strengthen and inspire you. Hail Satan, Blanche Barton." Anton LaVey's mistress / significant other at the time, whatever you want to refer to her as, his significant other, okay? I took these photos on air and posted them live. Okay? Nothing was scanned, nothing was edited or doctored. All right? You don't want to believe it? Fuck you. That's my answer to anybody who doesn't want to accept that that's the case. Okay? Everybody wants to question and challenge this as if I'm making it up. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about because you weren't there. Okay? And you're not going to tell me what my life experiences have been because, quite frankly, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. All right? So that's it. That's it. So, hold on one moment, please. I want to fix one thing here. We're going to go to another caller in 1 second. Just having a small problem. Give me 1 second. All right. Excellent. Okay. Let's go back to Discord calls. And let's go to... who do I want to take? I'm looking. My producer's trying to tell me who's been in here, hanging in here for a long time. I don't see them because... Are they listed in alphabetical order? It looks like they are. Let's go to... Arail, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, or Arally 9. Welcome. You have to unmute yourself on your end. You're unmuted on the server end. Arally 9, can you hear me? All right, they're having a technical problem. Let's go to Dan Miller. Dan, you're live on What on Earth is Happening. Welcome to the show. Dan, you have to unmute yourself on your end, please.
Hey, Mark, can you hear
There
me
you
now?
go. Thank you.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for all the great work you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm currently writing an outline on the absurdity of positive law over natural law. So far, I'm planning on writing it with a humorous tone, since I believe most people learn better through humor, and may appeal to the sitcom binge-watching masses.
Right.
Do you think humor would be an effective way, effective writing style for natural law?
I think it can be to pull someone into it who might be resistant at first. Okay. After that initial roping of them, I think that it should be approached in a serious fashion. I don't think that you're going to permanently get people to philosophically and morally understand the deep principles of natural law and objective morality without presenting it in somewhat of a serious way, because it's very serious subject matter. But to help get them out of their ego resistance, I think humor and art and music are great ways of doing that. And I recommend that, and I do not tell people not to do that. It's just that I don't engage in those methodologies currently because I have made my life path someone who is going to shake people into doing the great work who are halfway there in their understanding of why it's so important to do. So my approach is for those potential students to basically kick them in the ass. And I'm not telling everybody that they must do it my way. I am just saying that is my approach, and I have no intention of changing my approach. So I've often asked people, and maybe they don't hear it, not to recommend for me to do a different approach. What I recommend is for them to say, what is the best approach that they can take? So if this is your best approach to take, I say, wonderful, and go for it and do it. You don't have to do it like I do, okay? If this is what you think is going to be effective in taking the people who cannot handle my energy, and I admit most people can't, and I don't care. I'm not here to reach most people. Again, I think a lot of the resistance that I get in this regard, folks, is that from the beginning, people ascribe a goal to me without actually listening to the words coming out of my mouth repeatedly of what my goal actually is. Most people have never heard that and do not understand. I don't have the goal you think I have. I have the goal that I know that I have, and have always had that goal since long before starting What on Earth is Happening, since before 2010. I have had this goal for over 10 years of my life and existence and my work. And most people don't know what that is. My goal has never been to reach the tiny little babies cowering in the corner and go, oh my God, oh, I'm so nervous and afraid. What am I going to do? I don't know how to do anything. I have never been trying to reach that dross. Vocabulary word of the day. Put it up in big bold letters. What is dross? Look it up. I don't care about the dross. Does the dross eventually have to be reached with this? Unfortunately, they do. I have never made the claim that I am going to be the people who reach the dross. What I have claimed that my intent and goal is to do, very clearly, as a matter of fact, multiple times, is I want to reach the people with the big boy pants on and the people with the big girl pants on. Does everyone understand? I am looking for people with thick skin who can hear something said harshly to them and say, you know what? This guy's right, even though he's not taking it easy on me. What he's saying is true, and that's all that matters. They're out of the mind control, of emotional mind control. Most people are not. I never made the claim, What on Earth is Happening is here to take all of the babies and dross out of their bullshit emotional mind control. Never made the statement. Nobody can find it because it was never said. My goal has always been to reach potential adult teachers with thick skin. And then they will go and apply their methodologies and their unique styles to the performance of the great work. And then we will have a community of people giving different flavors of this, different strokes for different folks. And then many, many, many more people will have a choice of who do they want to take the information from. Then I will not be one of the only people, unfortunately, on this planet teaching this in my style. I never had the claim of hubris that every person on this planet would be able to or would receive this knowledge from me. You will never hear me say it. It's never been said. I always wanted more teachers to apply their own style and aesthetics to the performance of the great work and get up off their lazy asses and actually do it. I just hope I'm reaching my own audience. I really hope you understand my intentions and goals, because I don't think you have, largely. And I'm not talking about the caller. I'm not saying this to you, caller. I'm just saying this to the audience at large. I am not so sure that my audience at large has understood that this is the purpose of What on Earth is Happening, of my work. Is the long-term goal to get the knowledge out to everyone? Oh, yes, of course it is. But I never made the claim, this is the Publishers Clearinghouse, one-stop shop, and you have to get it from me. Find the place that I've ever said it. You will not be able to do it because I've never said it. What I did say is I am here to essentially teach the other potential teachers who already are the big boys and big girls with the big girl and big boy pants on, okay? The big boy and big girl pants on, who have thick skin, are not going to be easily offended, are not going to be easily put off by my style, my personality. And here's why. I think that's a vetting approach. I feel that that is a vetting approach. VETTING. To vet someone means to say, do you have the required characteristics as an adult human being with thick skin? That's who I'm attempting to reach. The other people I consider dross. They're not who I'm looking for. I'm looking for a few, comparatively, ratio-wise, percentage-wise, ultra quality and skilled individuals to do the great work with me as peers. I am not looking for the dross that goes, Mark Passio is way too insulting and harsh for me. I'm going to go sit in the corner and weep. I really don't need or want those people in this work. If they pick it up ancillarily from other people and then they go out and do it, that's a wonderful bonus. That's an added bonus. But that is not who I am reaching out for. I am reaching out for the people who already have the toughness inside of their internal makeup to do this with persistence and drive and willpower. Please, all of my listening audience, fully understand that that has been my goal since day one, and do not ascribe goals to me that you believe that I have erroneously. That is your error. That is not what I have ever stated. That is your error in what you think my goals ever have been. So I want to clarify that once and for all, and let people play that, chop that down individually and say, this is what Mark Passio has always been attempting to do, not what you think he's been attempting to do. All right, so caller, please continue. And my ultimate answer to that first part of the question, or your question, was absolutely, if you want to do it through music, through allegory, through poetry, through artwork, that is a wonderful approach in beginning to help loosen people's ego and bring them into some of this. Long term, I think it has to be really, truly taught in a serious way, morally and philosophically, by the teachers that you will eventually do that, and we could push those people toward. Okay, so that's my answer to that. If you have any other comments or questions regarding that, go right ahead.
Great. Yeah, just to change the subject, I just wanted your audience to know that this July 13th, 14th, and 18th, I had eyewitnessed UFOs for the first time. And on July 15th, I auditorily and visually witnessed someone communicating telepathically with their ancestors and star family. So I saw a video clip where you saw some UFOs yourself, and I don't know if something's going on now.
Very interesting phenomenon. I've been following the phenomenon of non-human intelligence, potential interaction with this planet since I was young. Often have worked with study groups and investigation groups in my area. I used to work with a investigation group called CIRAP in the past, headed up by a friend, CIRAEP, which stood for the Council for Investigation and Research into Aerial and Earth Phenomena, by my friend Robert Urey. And Bob did a great job heading up CIRAP. I don't know if they're still around. He moved out of my area, but I used to work with that organization. I think they were doing pretty good work and were holding great conferences in the area, had really great speakers. I worked with Mainline MUFON, which is my friend Jennifer Stein's group, who does excellent work in the ufology field. I've worked with MUFON of Pennsylvania loosely, not as a direct member, but just helping with some of their organizational goals. So I've taken some of the research into this field very seriously in the past and still do. The crop circle phenomenon has always been a very, very significant area of interest for me, and I've studied that phenomenon in depth. I recommend the works of people like Freddie Silva, who can really give people a good education on the phenomenon. There's other people that I think have some pretty good work out regarding it. If you get the ARC, a lot of this stuff is on there. I do believe that, human beings have had a rich history of contact with non-human intelligence, and I don't call it intervention theory, as some ufologists and ancient alien hypothesizers and researchers call it. I call it interference theory. Our evolutionary progress naturally in creation was interfered with by non-human entities and set way off course into areas of horrible beliefs and practices that are untrue and that we still suffer from, that we will not pull our minds out of the morass of continuing to religiously believe in this nonsense and these falsities, and we suffer as a result. What we believe drives our behavior, and our behavior drives the manifestation of the results we receive in creation. That is how natural law functions, and our entire mindset as a species is so messed up, badly bad. We have so many ways of wrong thinking, and when wise people actually say, this wrong thinking is what got somebody into trouble, other people want to kill them. They don't want to listen to them because their ego's in the way. Egoic people who think satanically and completely erroneously don't want to hear wisdom when it's spoken. They want to continue in their egoic satanic mindset. It's so hard to come out of that. And I think, like many other researchers throughout time, one of the only things that will ever bring people out of that mindset is to suffer greatly. But the problem with that is it often continues the cycle. It often continues the cycle of trauma. And then the trauma puts us into the R complex and we don't learn all over again. We choose not to learn all over again. That's why that could be a vicious cycle. Sometimes pain can wake somebody up out of a trance. Sometimes it can put them into a deeper one. Okay? There's an old adage. A relatively smart human being learns from the mistakes of others. Let me say that again. A relatively smart human being or a relatively intelligent human being will learn from the mistakes that others have made. But a truly wise human being, I'm sorry, I got it wrong. Let me start over. A relatively intelligent human being will learn from their own mistakes. So a relatively intelligent human being will learn lessons from their own mistakes. But a truly wise human being will learn from the mistakes of others. They will not have to experientially go down the same path of mistakes that someone else made in the past and re-experience the same suffering. So here it is. I'll say it even slower and give you an example. A relatively intelligent human being will learn from their own mistakes. That means I will say, I am not going to take someone else's word that they got burned from that fire. I am going to have to put my hand in that fire and burn it myself and learn from my own mistake that it's a bad idea to place your hand into a raging fire. And then that will make me somewhat intelligent of the consequences. I probably won't want to do it again because I'll be badly burned, often to the point of blistering or the charring of flesh. But I will have learned my lesson negatively through pain and suffering. And then I will learn not to do it that way. That's called you'll receive some relative intelligence from learning from your own mistakes what not to do. But a truly wise human being will look at someone who has already placed their hand into a fire and say, do you know what? I observed the manifestation of the consequences of doing that, of that behavior. And then they will make the extrapolation in correlation, in correlational thinking, and say, if I do that, I will receive the same result in the 3D manifested reality when I perform that same behavior of putting my hand into that fire. And therefore, it's probably a bad idea for me to do it. And therefore, I will choose to learn by looking at observationally the example of what it produces and then not do it. But you know what? Most people will never tread that path of wisdom. They will refuse to accept what happens when people perform such behaviors. They will insist like a completely retarded human being. And I don't care if you're offended by that term. There is such a thing as human retardation. It means that someone's brain was damaged in some way such that it does not function as a normally functioning brain is intended to function by whatever means, chemical, physical, birth trauma, etc., that damage occurs to the human brain. And then it produces a condition called human retardation. And there's different manifestations of that, but retardation means they are slow to learn. They have learning disabilities. And it's not an insult to say that someone is mentally retarded. There are many people who act as if they are mentally retarded when they are physically not mentally retarded, and they have no such condition of human retardation. It is not a term of insult. It is a condition of illness. But we act as if we have that condition of illness because the ego is so strong. The out of control ego has set up in the soul, in the heart, and in the mind and says, I'm not going anywhere. I'm rooting myself deeply into the ground here and you're not going to move me out. I'm taking over the house and I'm here to stay. And this is where most human beings are at. And folks, people say they think I'm in this condition. Wrong and incorrect, folks. I have gotten out of that condition. I'm out of that because I went where the truth led by getting my ego out of the way of the reception of the truth, which is what the true method of occult initiation produces. It says, you will not lie to yourself. You will see the situation of the world and attempt to change it from where it is. That doesn't mean that I don't think things that can be changed should be changed. That's different. It means you start accepting the world where it's at and applying your will where it's at without lying to yourself about where it's at. That's the first step of initiation. Okay? So I'm out of that ego that holds people back from reception of truth. That is what all the mystery traditions of consciousness and truth discovery helped the initiates to get themselves out of. A hardened, calcified ego deeply entrenched in the human psyche. This is why the questions that were asked of the possible initiate were, is there objective truth? Is there a power higher than human beings? Can truth be known? You know, things like that. Is there objective morality? And they had to display a basic understanding that their ego was out of the way. Then later in the mystery traditions, they went to much more important, there's more important questions than that. Because those things, they'll teach you the basics of the mechanics of how things work. Beyond that, you go into deeper areas that go into ethical treatment and understanding how to cause the absolute least amount of harm while you are here and to become stewards of our planet, the animal kingdom, and each other. Not owning it, but becoming caretakers and stewards of it. And for that, information and tutelage and mentorship, you had to answer the ultimate question of the second degree, or in other words, being passed into the greater knowledge of the higher levels of knowledge. And that was, how do you know that you are truly suffering? And there was only one correct answer. And most people cannot answer it and have that answer wrong if they think that they can answer it and they have the wrong answer. And this is where people who think we have ownership of the earth, we have ownership of the animals, etc., so forth. We can use them however we see fit. We can keep taking resources in any kind of a polluting or destructive way, you know, and we're not good caretakers of the earth, of animals, or of each other. Okay? And the answer to that truly sacred question of being passed into the higher degrees of the mystery traditions was, I am aware that I suffer if any other being suffers. And most people will never even conceptualize the answer of that question. Never even go near it, never even approach that as a correct answer because they're so in satanic ego that all they give a rat shit about is themselves. That's it. And maybe by extension, their significant others or family members. Most of the time, not even them. They'll stab them in the back if it comes down to protecting their own ass.
Yep. Freedom's got to be the first principle.
And morality. Freedom has to come first, and we have to understand freedom can only exist in a society that truly embraces objective morality and objective moral principles. Freedom can never exist in a society that embraces moral relativism. And that's where so many people who think they understand natural law have it wrong, think that they understand anarchy have it wrong. I hear people in these groups saying anarchy means no rules at all, just do whatever you want. Oh, well then you're going to start teaching natural law. We can come in and say everything's relative and morality's relative, and that's fine. No. That gives a completely asinine, backwards, wrong, incorrect impression of what natural law is to an impressionable, potentially serious student. And I've seen people in a lot of these groups online that people think that they have a good intention, but don't follow it through. You know, that just let it be a free-for-all. I've seen people come in these groups and go, I'm out. You know, I'm not even going to stay here because there's a bunch of asinine people that really don't know what they're talking about. I thought it was going to be a serious discussion group and clarification group for this material, and you have a bunch of moral relativists and fake-ass anarchists and people who are completely giving a false impression of natural law in these groups, so I'm out. I've seen people come in and leave that could have possibly been a serious student or maybe even a good teacher one day. So that's why I say, if you even want to do things like that on social media, I don't even think it's a good idea from Jump Street. I think people need to learn communication. They need to learn publishing, modern technological publishing methods, and they need to put that out to the public on their own and largely cut off comments. If you want to deal with nonsense of comments, go ahead. You know what I think comments are, folks? Ding, 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 ding. Vocabulary word of the day, dross. Comments are dross from people who are largely total and utter dross. I don't want to deal with that nonsense. Okay? If you want to deal with that nonsense, go ahead. That's why I turn my comments off. Quite frankly, I think most of the people that feel the need to comment on Facebook and feel the need to comment on YouTube are dross. Okay? You're not quality human beings, okay? And you have a totally ineffective method where you would be much better served and the community would be much better served to formalize your knowledge and put it out publicly without commentary. Then it's out there, it's public domain, people can reach it, they can access it, they can study it if they want, and you don't have a lot of noise coming into the signal. The signal to noise ratio will be good, not bad as it is when people turn comments on. What happens on YouTube threads with 1,000 comments? Everybody's in the comments, they're not getting the message of what the original video is even fucking talking about. Almost invariably.
Yeah, and YouTube rewards the comments for the algorithm, so the video ranks higher.
Right. And guess what? At least you can turn comments off on a platform like YouTube. You can't turn them off on Facebook. I would suggest put out all your videos on Facebook. Put out your your Facebook Live videos. Put your presentation slides up there and turn off comments if you could. Wonderful then. But guess what? The more comments are allowed, the more dross is let in. And guess what? That's not censorship, folks. No matter what you say or think, that is not censorship. That is called moderation in your own space. You're not telling people they don't have a space on Facebook. They can post whatever they want on their wall. Anybody that doesn't agree with what I'm saying, you can go and post your opinion on your own wall. But guess what? I'll moderate what's on my wall. I'll moderate what's in one of my groups. And I will reach out to assist other administrators if I feel the need or want to. And if they want the help, I will give it to them, or I will help assist them in doing that because I've helped other groups to do that. And I will assist them in, quote, cleaning up their group. Yeah, there is such a thing. Yeah, it is effective. We did this in a couple of other groups, and guess what? They're effectively teaching natural law to people. It's not a bunch of dross. It's a bunch of quality content for the most part. There's always going to be, some things that, aren't as quality as other things, but guess what? They've largely been turned effective from being ineffective places of total dross, where the floodgates are open and a bunch of dross is flooding in. Okay? So this is what we are helping another group to do, and hopefully we'll be able to talk about that more in detail at the beginning of next week's show for maybe like a half an hour, 45 minutes at the most. So, caller, anything else?
Did Vimeo explain why they tore down your video?
The video of what? Oh,
Vimeo,
yeah. Because I talked about COVID-19 as not being the way that sicknesses and illness really work, and there's new scientific information that has come to light. There's actually a lot of old experiments in old scientific literature that proved this. And they're saying no one is allowed to contradict the official mainstream media and government narrative. And that's why I say it's going to be time to go to war soon, folks. Once you say we are stopping your freedom of speech from propagating, and you are not allowed to tell people that there is an alternative way of looking at reality, it is going to be civil war time soon. Okay? And I'm telling people, you better get physically prepared for battle, because it's going to come in your lifetime. This is going to happen in our lifetime on the trajectory we are on. And guess what? I don't give a fuck who hears it in the positions of authority or government. It's going to come in our lifetime. If you think these riots that happen in inner cities, in center cities of major metropolitan cities, are anything close to what is going to come down the fucking pike, you dumb motherfuckers, you haven't seen what's coming. These are little fucking imbecilic leftist children, most of them, that know nothing about the world and have no weaponry. You have no idea what's coming when shit really jumps the fuck off. I'm trying to prevent and avert that. You want to see what's going to happen psychologically? Go on some BitTorrent sites and type in real war footage and watch it. Download it and watch it. And you better get prepared to see that in your lifetime, children. That's all I have to say. Because I'm telling you, it's coming fast. We are on that trajectory. And that ain't going to be people holding some bullhorns asking for a reform of police. Okay? It's going to be utter urban asymmetric warfare. And millions upon millions upon millions of people are going to die. Horrible deaths. Now, I'm not calling for that. I am just telling you that's inevitable. According to law in creation, if we don't turn the fucking tables now, if we don't turn the tide of the trajectory of where we are heading, that is inevitable. I'm not calling for it. I'm telling you, if we don't get this message out to the public regarding objective morality and get their head out from up their satanic asses, we are going to go down that path whether anybody wants it to happen or not. And I have been trying to avert that eventuality since the first day I started speaking publicly. I have not been calling for that. I have been trying to avert it. But if it comes, and it must come, so be it. If it comes because of human ignorance and there is no other way to give humanity another chance to get this message because of censorship and ignoramus people acting satanically, then so be that suffering in the world. I will accept it wholeheartedly and gladly. And there's a part of me that thinks that it must come. Because we are not getting, because of our failure as a listening and viewing audience. Let me make unequivocally what I think about that. That is, look right at my audience. My audience, look at me. That's your failure. It's not my failure. It is not my failure, not Mark Passio's failure. Again, when my time comes, I will praise the universe that I was given the opportunity to do this great work. I'll sing my exit song and I'll go to my grave perfectly peacefully knowing that I did what I was here to do and I did it well. How many can say the same thing? When it comes time to exit, we'll see who's better prepared. And again, as the old saying goes, there's no atheists in foxholes. Okay? If it comes time violently for you to die, let's see how prepared you are in that moment based on what you did. That's what's going to matter, folks. Not what you thought, not what you said, what you actually did with your behavior and actions. And that means, who did you try to influence publicly to try to help people come out of this mindset so we won't have to go down that path? Did you take up your part in that one work? In that one great work? How many can say that they did that? How many can say that they did it truly effectively and well and really reached the hearts and minds of others? You know, you got people on Facebook saying that they're equating me, saying I want to help another admin, reel in the nonsense that people are posting in his group. That's equivalent to book burning. Please. Don't give a fucking overinflated sense of self-importance to me. First of all, I'm not a censor doing book burning. Secondly, most of all, don't give your own ass an overinflated sense of self-importance. You ain't writing books on Facebook, children. All right? It's an over-exaggerated sense of ego. And if people really had any, if you were really doing the work, people who are looking at natural law would know your name. Okay? And you ask people, who's out there teaching natural law? I'm going to be one of the first names spoken. And it's not bragging and it's not hubris. It's the fucking fact of the matter truth. Because of my effort and will and persistence and knowledge and correctness regarding it. That people, have an intuitive sensing of, and then when they study it on their own, they corroborate. Let's get that straight. And then other people go, oh, he's famous and well known. Yeah, I'm famous. Oh, wow. All, tens of thousands of people I have on my Facebook page. Yeah, that makes me famous. There are people who have like 1 billion views on one video that are gamers. Gamers. Asshole gamers. Who's the most, the jackass who's the most popular person on YouTube who has the most subscribed videos? What's this asinine moron's name? Who is he? Oh, PewDiePie. Oh, I'm going to publicly call out PewDiePie as a fucking dumb gamer. You got the most views on Facebook, which shows exactly where humanity's head is, lodged firmly up their own assholes. That they listen to that garbage instead of somebody actually talking about what's really going on in the world and understanding how the dynamic really works. Okay? But that's where humanity is at. PewDiePie is the most important fucking YouTube celebrity that has the number one fucking podcast on earth. I have a couple tens of thousands of subscribers. Yeah, I'm real popular and famous. I went to the Jersey Shore and walked from one end of the island that I was on to the other. Not one single human soul recognized me out in broad daylight, out at night, no matter what time. Walking the whole beach, the whole ocean of the island, back one end to the other. Not one person says, hey, Mark Passio. Zero. I'm real famous. You don't know what famous means or what draws people to famous people. It's called dross. I'm not dross, so I don't draw dross. Okay? That's why people are drawn to dross like PewDiePie. Who have no value to really offer the world. Babbling fucking imbeciles listen to jerk-offs like that. But that's the most popular podcaster. Yeah, and I'm famous. Go look at his view count compared to mine, or his subscriber view compared to mine, and then say I'm famous. Most people can't even hear or understand what the fuck I'm saying because they're so fucking dumb. It just shows me repeatedly how far up people's ass their heads are that they think things like this. Let's move on to another caller. Bob from Cincinnati. Man, have I not heard from you in forever. Too long. Welcome, my friend.
Mark, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. It's great to hear your voice.
Oh, my God. What a sweet treat. Mark, I'm so sorry about Barb's passing.
Thank you, Bob. It's been very difficult, but you put a smile on my face by calling in today.
Oh, I've been trying to get in for 2 shows now. Mark, these assholes have completely taken over society and the minds of people with this COVID-19. Yeah. It's sickening. It's sickening.
It's unbelievable. Bob, was I correct about where the human mind was to my viewing audience, my listening audience, or did I exaggerate?
Mark, we out here have our heads so far up our asses, we would kiss the boots of these fascists that are getting ready to go door to door. Don't wait for them to go door to door, ladies and gentlemen. Do not accept this tyranny. It is outrageous, Mark.
Yep.
We've got to wake up. We've got to pull together. Mark, there was a researcher by the name of Tracy Twyman, and
her work was phenomenal, and we do not know the actual circumstances by which she passed away. I think her family requested that be kept private, so there's a lot of speculation about it. She wrote some great works about occultism that had very, very good information in it. I believe I have a couple of some of her material on the ARC drive. And I think Tracy was a big loss to the truth community and the community that is trying to explain how occultism operates. And it's a very sad thing.
Yes.
My heart goes out to her family because I think she did great work.
Her last book was a book of, quote, fiction, unquote, called Genuflect, Genuflect. I had to look it up. Genuflect means to go down on one knee in subservience. And the occultists, these dark occultists, will force their victims to go down on one knee before they are executed.
Yep. Muzzled and down on a knee. You know,
Yes.
it's all occult mockery, folks. This is how these so-called rulers and masters, these self-appointed rulers and masters of the world, ritualistically mock people publicly. And they get off on the fact that the public cannot see it.
Yes. Mark, I also, so I want people to look for it, the book Genuflect by Tracy Twyman. She outlines the dark pedophile currency that runs this world that we live in. That Mark is right on that effect. It is the currency, it is the fuel that drives this. We must end it once and for all, ladies and gentlemen. End the pedophile currency. And also, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to look into the work of Dr. Carla Turner, Karla Turner. She spoke of MK Ultra. She got into aliens and UFOs, but in the end she found that it was MK Ultra mind control. Mark, I appreciate your voice. God bless you. I hope to see you physically soon.
Bob, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to hear from you again. Thank you for helping educate people and reach them. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have for this edition of What on Earth is Happening. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Remember, folks, government is slavery. We'll see you right here next week.